The Ground Report with Mickie K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.
Just love, but yet they Christmas Till my music shatters the silence. I want it to conquer the violence. Big men run when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're tough, protected. Almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow begs to never up. There'll be another voice from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying, crying, yeah. Voices from the ghetto. Crying, voices from the ghetto. Social amenities, Lord, heaven knows. Opportunities and them always close. Can't get what once in white collar. So if you can't stretch your dollar, it's later for you for a like you're short of dead from Christ. Life does rape dignity and pride. Till there's only bitterness left inside. And every day is a hustle. Arguments are settled with muscle. In your 6 feet deep and 3 feet wide. Children to life keep on drifting. It's something they're soaking or sniffing. Or maybe they're trying to forget this life of misery and regret. No one to come to their rescue except cable pan and bourgeois. So their boom boxes there they go. The drum and voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 crying. Voices from the ghetto. Crying, crying, crying. Voices from the ghetto. I was born and bred in the ghetto. I talk about you. I'm from the ghetto. Voices from the ghetto.
Yesterday has come and gone, leaving some of us to mourn. Times we had and friends we lost, and while nature took its course, we have seen the many faces of slavery. We have seen the British Empire fall. We have seen Hitler's contribution to history. We have seen the rise and fall of the Berlin Wall. We have seen famines. We have seen wars. As you well imagine, we have seen nothing yet, because in time to come, America will have a black president. In time to come, there's going to be an active world government. In time to come, the world will see human life cheaper than dirt. In time to come, from outer space, aliens will land on the earth. Team Africa will win the World Cup. Marijuana will sell in the shop. Science will produce bread out of stone, and then create the first human clone. Technology will reach a new high. Buses and cars will fly in the sky. Trinidad will make a nuclear bomb. In time to come. In time to come. In time to come. Don't do that. Well, tell them for me. Pampalo, polo, pampalala. Palabalo, palalele. Moving from the dark ages, man has progressed in stages. Through the stone and iron age, till we turn another page. And we saw the adventures of Alexander, waging war in his obsession for conquest. Inventions like the chariot and the saber, the weapons that put Europe under duress. Mankind achievements sometimes were great, and his glorious moments mark the passage of time. But
good morning, Lennox. You could go ahead. Morning.
Good morning to you. Are you hearing me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Are you hearing me loud and clear?
Yeah.
All right, my friend. All right. Are we on already, or is it that you were waiting for me?
Done.
Yeah?
You go ahead.
We are in?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good morning to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, or French and Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the worldwide web. A pleasant good day to you. Well, as you would have observed by now, that of course, Andy is still, of course, recuperating from that episode that we announced yesterday. And so, of course, we have a little more time to spend with each other as far as the opening button is concerned for the program, the ground report for this week. It was recommended that I want to tell you that, you may have to take the rest of the week. But thank God that today is already, of course, Thursday. So therefore, of course, Monday will be, of course, maybe the day when, of course, he may well be returning, of course, to the program. But that being as it may, again, we have quite a lot of information that we need to share with you. And today is no exception, except, of course, I was in my preparation for this morning. I was reading, of course, the regulations, and it appears that there's a legal battle brewing with respect, of course, to regulation, I think 12 and 14, which talks about public order and, of course, saying things or doing things that will, of course, disrupt public order. And because that particular regulation was so broad, there is a team of attorneys that have decided that they must go to court for further definition. Because remember, we were saying on this program and elsewhere that, of course, based on what the ministers would have said when this, of course, SOE was announced, I'm talking about, of course, then Stuart Young, and as well as the Minister of National Security, and they said that public movement and public speech will not be affected. And of course, I think they took into consideration, or at the time they were talking about, of course, the fact that this is an election year. But we also, of course, expressed our skepticism, our doubt, our apprehension that, of course, they say one thing, but may well, of course, do something else. And I made the reference to pushback 1 and 2 when, of course, while it was, of course, not SOE, but at least the health regulations were in place. And because it was the big savannah, 9,000 persons or 5,000 persons inside of the savannah, distancing themselves from each other. And of course, everybody masked. That would have been for sure. That, of course, a high degree of what I consider to be discretion would have had to be taken when we decided, of course, to protest. Not just the arbitration or the arbitrariness of demanding people must take the vaccine, but of course more so that the people must have the choice to take it or not, because it is their body. Nonetheless, what we saw when, of course, the few that remained after the police had asked us to leave, most of us left, but there are one or two well, I should say about 200 stragglers, and they insisted that they would not leave, and they're just outside on the Savannah side, but on that track, that jogging track or cycling track, if you want to call it that, obliquely opposite Amoko, that's their offices, and here it is, and there it was when, of course, BP Amoko, that is, and then, of course, they started to shout, Rowley must go, Rowley must go. Obviously, of course, totally frustrated, and of course, rightfully so, because, of course, remember, just before that, we had a situation where Rowley announced that vaccines were available and that senior citizens must come out and take the vaccine because they were the most vulnerable to the COVID virus, and they were supposed to get at several or present themselves at several, of course, vaccination points throughout the country. And of course, we learned that it was under duress, meaning that the question of they losing their pension, and that would have been the driving or motivating factor to cause them to come out there and be subjected to the long lines waiting for vaccines. And of course, at the end of the day, no vaccines occurred, no vaccines came, but the lines were there. People were there for a very long time in the hot sun. Passers-by recognizing the punishment that these senior citizens of our country were subjected to on their own volition and with their own resources. They organized for tents and possibly chairs so that they could sit, because they had to stand up outside these vaccine presumably vaccine acquisition points, and the vaccines never came. All of the process were in place, the numbers, the names were taken, based on the number of vaccines that might have been available. So there was not a sufficient amount of vaccines. Clearly, if you have a numbers program, who came first, of course, as the case may be, and therefore you have to line up. I'm saying all that to say that not only no vaccine was available, but these senior frail citizens had to wait almost whole day, standing up with a high degree of uncertainty. But there, because they were threatened with their little pension that they are and were entitled to. And of course, if you are there whole day, nature will give you a call whether you want to urinate or you want to defecate. And these centers never catered for large numbers of persons, because in a typical health center environment, it's not like a school where you will have, of course, a large amount of toilet facilities. So you had maybe one for male, one for female kind of thing, that kind of scenario. And then, of course, they would want, of course, to ease themselves one way or the other. And they would have had to, of course, as nature called, people would have had to find themselves in these areas of the building that would have accommodated, of course, the urinals and the toilet facilities. But because it is not a structured thing, meaning that two persons could have a call at the same time, so they would have had to assemble outside, and therefore, of course, social distancing became, of course, an issue. And then, of course, in addition to that, because they were there a long time, they would now have to eat as well. So they'll have to pull down the mask and eat. And thus, of course, a sputum or other internal matters that would come out as a consequence of breathing, whether it be dust or whether it be some kind of microbe would come out in such circumstance, because you have to eat, so you have to pull that mask below your nose, and that all these things occurred there. All these things occurred there. And then, of course, Dr. Rowley comes and tells us, after all of that he is sorry, but that was a bad idea. Exposing senior citizens to that deadly virus. Rowley comes on the television and simply tells us that it was a bad idea and it did not have the vaccines to be administered, for which, of course, this large number of senior citizens descended at these centers, designated, appointed, publicized. And what we had after that, I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand the nexus between, of course, what transpired there and the large amount of deaths that pursued or ensued thereafter, totaling over 5,000 persons, mainly senior citizens, that have died under the SOE. And of course, they have the audacity and the temerity to tell us, and as if they're making a joke of this whole episode where people's lives were lost, families were traumatized, and clearly lost their loved ones prematurely in circumstances that these deaths could have been avoided. Sure, all know the families are reeling from that loss, a sudden loss as a consequence of that exposure. And Rowley simply comes and makes an announcement that it was a bad day, a bad decision, without even offering, because there would have been sufficient information to determine the time of between the time of exposure. I think it would have been 7 days or to the maximum 14 days, and of course the contracting of the virus, and the, of course, ensuing death of the individual. So it was easy to roughly calculate, because they were bombarding us with information on a daily basis on this matter. I'm talking about COVID, and they felt as if they were in their glee. So we will tell you, well, listen, don't go outside. The police is going to be on your trail, etc., etc., and all kinds of what I consider to be arbitrary and vicious statements to beat people into doing what they ask. And of course, when it came to the public servants, we saw a situation where Rowley told them, listen, it is no longer a question of choice. We have to remember these things, because we are going to the polls, and elections have consequences, people. Elections have consequences. And so they reached the point, Rowley and they, where they, of course, told the public servants, no, whether you like it or not, you have to come to work. And if you're coming to work, you have to be vaccinated. And it is your choice not to work or not to be vaccinated, yes, but you will be taken off the payroll. No pay for you. That is what we told the public servants. Public servants, I hope that you understand the trauma and the viciousness and the inhumane nature of this administration. And he came up with a term that is used in the United States, forlorn. Yeah, where of course you, in the case of the United States, the government there, if of course they were not able, of course, to reach a budgetary compromise or arrangement, the budget on which they calculated to pay public servants would have expired. They then have to stay home, etc., because there is no money to pay them. But of course, we already created that under an SOE in circumstances where people already had to stay home, and many businesses, small, medium, and otherwise, particularly in the entertainment and of course service sector, had no business at all. And of course, coming out of it, people lost their businesses. We are still calculating as to how many small businessmen and women, at the micro level, lost their livelihood as a consequence permanently. And then you have, of course, the most confused, the most inadequate, the most incompetent, and the most dastard way of course, generating compensation by giving you a five-page document, one of the requirements to get compensation, whether you are a small business person that have lost, of course, business, or whether you are an employee that could not have worked. And in the case of the small business people, doubles vendors and bacon shack and of course those pubs and so on, they tell you, listen, there must be a certification mechanism to, of course, access a $1,500 or $1,000. Just imagine that. A $1,500 or $1,000. Some person of the rank of sergeant and upwards must certify. So that person must know that you are doing business. How many people, how many persons of that level in the police service would be, of course, a regular customer at, let's say, a double stand? And that is what we had to go through. That is what you had to go through. That's what we had to go through. That's what public servants had to go through. That is what the senior citizens have to go through. That's what the families of these senior citizens that have expired and have met their demise under such circumstance, avoidable, had to go through. And then, of course, we calculated some $22 billion, and they could hardly, of course, have accounted for $1 billion of that $22 billion that was expended on the SOE. And then he has the audacity to tell us that, listen, all the potholes that in itself would have killed people as well and mash up the people and cause them, of course, to have expenditure on their vehicles that otherwise would not have been if there was maintenance. He said, listen, he was too busy, glibly, he was too busy protecting people from death, when in fact it was death after death in reality. That is the kind of management that we ended up with. Elections have consequences. And I say so against the background, as I started, that the regulations, as I said, 12 and 14, I have not taken a look at it, except, of course, that this morning it appears that there is a challenge that was placed in the courts, saying that, of course, when you talk about public order and the infringement of public order, it is too broad and left to the discretion of the police. And we know that there are police officers and elements that are sympathetic to this evil, wicked, diabolical, and of course, near the well administration that has, of course, so concerned about power that they coalesce and they get into Dapa, and of course, and go to retreat to settle out their power juggling differences, whilst of course the rest of the country runs on autopilot. Abandon us because they want of course to remain in office, do nonsense, maladminister, generate draconian measures, beat us into submission, whether it be of course amnesty for taxes or the imposition of additional taxes, whether it be that of online taxes or property tax, or in the form of electricity. Beat us into submission, and then of course use a high-handed and coercive measure by utilizing of course very police elements are prepared of course to compromise their own integrity and the office and the respect that they ought to acquire from the public, and the skepticism associated therewith, as they tear gas us at pushback number 2 at the Queen's Park Savannah. Tear gas us, and we must consider them. Consider them on the next cycle that will come up, whether they like it or not. So yes, Trump is in, Rowley is out. But he is doing so on his own terms. So he voices, of course, a Chinese fella, and some people say don't look at it in the context of Chinese. You see, we are not stupid on this program. We are not saying that he's Chinese or not. It doesn't, we don't care about whether he's Chinese, Indian, Syrian, local white. No, that is not the issue. Let me make it categoric. It is not because Churchill is Chinese. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the principle that Rowley has spent all of his public life as we know it promoting the PNM as an African, at least symbolically, party. That is what that is all about. We are not stupid. We are not talking about whether you're China, because if he had voiced, if he had voiced, of course, another African man, the narrative, the discussion would be a different one. If he had voiced, of course, a Syrian or some local white on us, of course, the conversation would have been similar to the argument about Chinese. And the fundamental reason, the basis for that argument is Rowley and the PNM purporting to be and promoting over the years that they are African Man Party, and of course conditioned or brainwashed the East-West Corridor, where the major part of the constituencies that would determine a government in this country, whether by happenstance, by serendipity, by chance. But of course we know it's because of the PNM too long in office, they have been able to gerrymander the seats in this country and cause, of course, that concentration of seats along the East-West Corridor, because the Africans dwell there in the main. And as a consequence, they promote themselves as an African party. And to tell us today that you have someone different from an African to voice on the party, and it's no big thing, because he is well qualified to be head of the party and head, of course, of government, because he was able to secure some positions in the party, and therefore you must see him differently. But I say that there are a lot of Indians that would have had positions in the party as well over many, many years, whether it be, of course, Kamaluddin Muhammad, whether the Errol Mahabir, senior people in the party around that time, people who, of course, the likes of Rowley and even Manning, they couldn't fit in their shoe. But they were not selected because of the concept and the ideology that, of course, is a black man party. Tell me about shiny what? That is not the argument. And therefore, the voter bank along the East-West corridor, where the majority, in terms of a concentration or a grouping of constituency measure to determine whether or not a government when a party gets into government, is crucial. And as I said, it was not by accident, the manipulation over the years of the PNM to make that so, because of course one has to also take into consideration that because of the saturation of population along the East-West corridor, in particular, that the population, as it increases, will have to find space to accommodate living conditions, etc., recreation and so on, and therefore it has to go south. It has to go Caroni, especially when, of course, Caroni was closed down and the lands are now available for such purposes, for expansion. But notice, there is no such consideration as the population trend continues and of necessity to go south, but there is no increase in the constituencies. There is no consideration for increase in constituency. Why? Because of the PNM influence in the EBC. I say so without fear of contradiction. And therefore the PNM will vehemently oppose. If you divide up the increasing population on that side of the country going towards the deeper south, but of course, let's say in central and let's say the second to last portion of the country moving south, there is no consideration for increasing constituencies. Why? Because they know that will be their deathbed and their death knell. And the EBC is there to facilitate. And don't tell me I don't understand what I'm saying, because of course Rowley tried that for Tobago, when of course the EBC, he unilaterally of course decided to expand the number of seats in the Tobago House of Assembly by 3, moving from 12. So you have 15, and passed, of course, with a simple majority, without consideration that they have a simple or a very tenuous majority, but use that and add 3. And EBC is simply like lamb to the slaughter. They went, of course, and divide, and mainly, of course, PNM oriented or PNM preference seats, in order for Rowley and the PNM to get an unfair advantage in Tobago. Well, the people made up their minds. They're lucky they get a seat. They're lucky, PNM are talking about it. They're lucky they get a seat. And I say to them, and I say to you in Trinidad, there are 39 constituencies, and PNM must get none. None. Because of what they have done to the African community. Total insult. And of course, it will be although in its embryonic stage, or its nascent stage, beginning stage, the demise of this, what I consider to be criminal enterprise called the PNM. And I say so without fear of contradiction. I say so with a high degree of certainty. I say so with a high degree of irrefutability. Because they will have to tell me where the hell they get money from, over $100 million to build that monstrosity of steel, mortar, concrete, brick, etc. They have to say. Otherwise, blood money And clearly, there's a nexus between that sudden windfall, that sudden acquisition of wealth and money to build that, and their being in government, and of course, the dispossessing of the poor and vulnerable in this country. In other words, the lack of delivery, just of course creating the level of crime and criminality. I don't want anybody to tell me we are no fools, we are not stupid, we are not irrational. Are you going to tell me that there is no nexus between, of course, poverty and of course, the crime and criminality that is taking place in the country, and the reputation of Trinidad and Tobago as one of the most violent places in the world? You can't tell me that. Can't tell me that. Yes, certainly in nexus, and has always been in nexus. I would agree that people have choices and they could choose not to or engage in spite of their circumstance. That argument I could accept. But in spite of that, the reality is, in all practicality, the praxis, the rolling out, the experience. Otherwise, and I'm talking here about blue collar crime, not the white collar ones that you would find in other parts of the country in terms of the population set. Talking about blue collar crime, home invasion, larceny, murder, hijackings, whether it's car or human, embezzlement, and to a lesser extent, you could say that that's a transient crime, because you could have it, of course, in the well-to-do as well as the blue-collar crime areas. But the fact of the matter is that in these areas, the common factor is that they are poor and deprived, and therefore, as a consequence of those circumstances, those set of circumstances, they engage, of course, in an effort to survive. Because what a fellow will go and rob a bank for? Money, not so? And the money does what? So we know, so we understand the rationality, we understand the parameters, we understand, of course, the nexus and the relationships. So it's only those who have the responsibility and want to make an excuse so that others would not see their incompetence, impotence, and lack of ability, of course, to manage the affairs of the country, making all kinds of excuses, and then, of course, engaging in draconian. And why am I saying all of that? I'm saying all of that because we have been there before. There was an SOE in 2011 under Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC. There was. But what was the position of Rowley then? And the PNM? He goes up to the PTM, and of course on various media interviews tells us that there's no reason to have a state of emergency. He told us that, and more so for the specific purpose of combating crime, because the police has enough resources in order so to do. He told us that. No different to when he told us that, listen, he will not interfere with property tax. He will not interfere with subsidies. Told us that. And of course, Vice Prime Minister, he told us he will not close down Petrotrin. We know what the results are. You still have a modicum, a minuscule sympathy for that, then the country would now be engaged in, of course, on a suicidal mission. Let us go once again, of course, our pleasant good morning to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is yes, it is, of course, the Grog Report. Andy is still a bit under the weather, and therefore, of course, yours truly will have to, of course, engage. I expect that Mickie will come on a little later, having regard to, of course, we having more information now as to the condition of Andy. He has been advised to take a rest and so forth, so I expect that Monday morning may be the most appropriate or the earliest time when he would revisit us. But in the meantime, the show has to go on. Let me, of course, just find the numbers that I did not pull up this morning because I really thought he would have been back today. So I was partially or inchoately prepared. So let me just make sure and get that organized. But of course, it's very interesting indeed. So I started this conversation by indicating or by referencing Regulation 12 and 14 that is that is going to court to, of course, look at the whole question of freedom of speech and movement, even though, of course, we were told by Stuart Young and Hines that these issues are not concerned, and they believe that they are bright. They mention it because they know it would have come up. But they have told us these stories before. And when we look at their track record of sincerity, we see that it was always, of course, a deception. It was always, of course, a situation where they could have always used the contrary because it was available to them or was left available to them. And when, of course, the going gets tough, they then, of course, implement or leave it there as a sword of dangling as a sword of Damocles. Yeah, when, of course, they could implement it and therefore, of course, say that they never took it off the books. Something like the new argument with respect, of course, to property tax. Because when the property tax issue before the 2015 elections came, Rowley was on the platform just before the elections stating that anybody who says that incoming PNM government will engage in property tax, they are extremely dishonest. They are doing an injustice to the PNM. The PNM will not engage. And at any rate, the UNC was already engaged in the reverting to the land and building taxes. I heard the most spectacular dishonesty that one could ever have in recent times by Imbert, trying, of course, to make it look now that land and building taxes is similar to that of property tax. That's a level of dishonesty, deliberate, conscious, to fool the population and to fool those who are callous enough not to be circumspect or observing the operations of this government. That is what they do. So we have been at pains to make the distinction between property tax and land and building taxes. Land and building taxes would have been the tax that you were accustomed to going to, of course, the district revenue offices and paying $80 or $50 as the case may be. But that's about it. you'll have to call. You'll have to call the usual numbers in order to get on. I will be, of course. I will indicate and I will give way to persons who would like to call. The lines are open. I'm just trying to get my list of the numbers so that I can share it with those who may not have committed it to memory. But I know the regulars are able so to do. So in studio we have, of course, our technical person who will inform me that a call is on the line, and so of course I will give way and invite accordingly. So let me once again say that the lines are open, yes, and of course make your voice notes. Whilst I am simultaneously getting the numbers to, of course, share it with you. All right, so
Lennox, a call.
Okay, go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Morning, Lennox. Morning.
Good morning.
Anytime you see a call, your personal number is an important message. Good morning to all at Trinidad and Tobago and all the ground report supporters. Breaking news, Lennox. Breaking news. Great is the PNM. San Fernando waterfront get a new spanking Coast Guard hub with a new vessel, a 40-foot container and a pirogue. Great is Hines. Hines, you're dumb like a O. After so much a years, a pirogue and a 40-foot container. Lennox, I want you to do an investigation and see what it costs to build that Coast Guard post. And they both in. And the next thing, Lennox, I find South Trinidad making headline these days because for the PNM, South Trinidad, not on the map. Lal Bihari Trace, favorite place now for Rowley. Because why? Another thief emerged. Mr. Freeport have no regret at calling them thief. They thief in every single thing the hand could touch. They thief in. So, we have to deal with this. And I want to let these people and them who balling, Miss Kamla Passad, he said does drink and drink and drink. Yes, she does drink. But she never interfere with her little child. She never wind up on a underage child. She never had a child with a school pupil. And all you cannot see that Lennox are gone before us.
I hear, my friend, but I think the last part of your statement, I think, is erroneous. They can't see it. They're seeing it, but ignoring it. That's how I will put that. They know. They know that it is unbecoming that you cannot support such an individual who have no regard for human dignity and pride. Yeah. And of course, I am being, of course, very generous because I don't know if we are on guile as yet. Otherwise, I would have said it. Just as, of course, how Alan Roberts and others are now saying it. But I have been saying it for the past, time immemorial. I can't check the time. But of course, Rowley will not, of course, defend his name, his so-called good name, that dastard. And of course, you have a person still gravitating and seeing that as a leader. That as a leader.
Just a hamper.
We have another call. Go ahead, caller.
Just a hamper. That is all they want, is a hamper. And they're blind to everything. They cannot see. And for election time, they get a little something and suffer the rest of years. That is all. They're blind to it. Anytime they change, anytime they open the eye and see what's going on, the country will change.
I hear you, my friend, and of course that time is coming rapidly. We have another call. If you have another call, of course, we will go straight to that call as well. Don't forget, of course, the numbers to call. I found it eventually. 225-6644 for the new callers and those, of course, who would have been in the pavilion, so to speak, and now believe that you sufficiently edified and sufficiently encouraged to, of course, make a contribution, well, we will accommodate. 225-6644, 225-6644, and of course 239-5120, 239-5120, and of course WhatsApp. That is the only line you can get to, of course, deposit your voicemails. 366-3053. Let me repeat. That number, if you prefer, of course, to be in the comfort of your home and, of course, sipping something, or in the quiet moments, you want, of course, to put something on tape, on record, well, then, of course, you can send us a voicemail on or voice note on 366-3053. Only WhatsApp, however, so you have to have some internet connectivity in order to effect that communication. So, yes, as I said, in studio, we have our, let's say, responder, and I want to thank him very much for, of course, coming to the rescue, for whatever better term, in of course, staying in the central office, or the central a place of operation where Andy will be. Mickie and I, of course, are outside, and we do it for two reasons. One, of course, is security, most important, and then the other one, of course, is utilization, because the technology is available, and therefore it is very convenient for all of us to be where we are, in order, of course, to bring the information to you via, of course, this medium. So, once again, of course, Andy is still, under the weather, so to speak, or he has been asked to, of course, take a rest, I suppose, and of course, I expect that he would have the weekend as well. I don't expect him out tomorrow. If he does, well, of course, the level of commitment we have. So therefore, do not be surprised, in other words. But of course, I expect that in reality on Monday. That being as it may, once again, of course, the numbers to call are 225-6644, 225-6644, 239-5120, 239-5120, and of course the WhatsApp, where we will play your notes during the course of the program. We are here until, of course, 10 o'clock. 366-3053, 366-3053. Our apology for not being able to play the rerun, for whatever better term, of the Observer yesterday from 9 o'clock. We had some technical issues related to that. I don't know if we are able to still, or if we are still in that situation. If not, of course, we will try to get that for you, because what we say, we do.
Mr. Lennox,
what we do, we say. We have a call. Good morning.
It played yesterday for 7 o'clock.
Oh, it played at 7?
Yeah,
Okay. Yesterday in the evening time? All right, okay, good. All right, so
Yeah.
it was played on Real Media TT at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., just before, of course, obviously the corridor transformation. And I want to thank all those who made their contributions last night on the corridor. It was a very, very interesting and eye-opening, of course, experience, frankly, and I'm sure for many new callers, particularly those abroad, certainly were very enthused and absorbed by some of the revelations that took place, because it was a show that showed that we have been there before, and just as how places like Laventille invented the steel pan, there are people there who, of course, are much better than any one of these government officials, and have been able to, and are doing human service without the recognition, and they have been so myopic that they can't recognize that not only of their shortcomings, but their inability, of course, to manage the affairs of the country, even though under questionable circumstances they are holding the offices that they hold. Of course, we know that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and the UNC will, of course, take over the reins of government in the not too distant future. They have no choice. This year they must call the elections. They could delay as much as they want, and as you know, Trump is making joke. And of course, I just saw where they had over 600,000 persons. 600, I think 60,000 or 600,000 persons of Venezuelan origin that they have slated, of course, to get back to Venezuela, but they don't have any kind of arrangement with Venezuela to land their planes there. So I don't know how that will pan out, and what other efforts that they will make to repatriate these migrants undocumented in the country of the United States, which of course is now of course managed by Donald Trump. We have a call. Yeah. Pleasant good morning. Welcome to the
Pleasant good morning, Lennox. Pleasant good morning to the Energizer Bunny. Good morning, Andy. Good morning to you. I hope that you're feeling a lot better. Mickie, newbie, and the new guy. I couldn't remember his name. Andy, Lennox, on Monday, I think it was Monday, I sent Andy a voice note. I don't know if he played it because I know the voice notes has been backing up. I resent it yesterday, but I didn't hear it. But I'm going to ask the question again this morning because I've been asking this question a little while now. Is Stuart Young using the Air Guard services to travel to Venezuela? And how much it is costing the country for him to use the Air Guard services? Because, they had a stick up their wahoo when Kamala was using the helicopters, right? It is there for show. She should not use it. Right.
Right. Condemnatory of that measure, that move, that use. Yes, go ahead.
Right. They didn't want her to use it. Let me take a sip of water.
You go right ahead.
Thank you, Lennox. You have to take a sip of water to clear the throat. Yeah, they were up in arms. That why Rowley was up in arms. Why Kamala using it for, and how much money it costing in fuel? Well, we know he's scared to go on the helicopter. We know that, right? But I want to know, how does he travel to Tobago? Because a little birdie told me that he travels by the helicopter as well. But the newspaper, you ain't going to get that from the newspaper.
Don't be surprised. Would you be surprised?
Yeah.
Would you be surprised?
No, I won't, because he's a liar. And the same thing he condemned Kamala for is the same thing he's doing. Right? Yes. That now we know, and I hope that the PNMites can open their eyes, their ears, and their nose and smell it, that all what he was shoveling was gobar from Balize House.
Yes,
towards Kamala. Yes, because I want to know how much it is costing the country. Well, we know it is costing the Zami man 1.something million to travel foreign exchange, to travel to Venezuela for 40 days, right? And I want to know now how much it is costing us with the Air Guard services. Because just the same way all it was inquisitive as to what Kamala was doing, we want to know, right? Now, our next thing.
They cannot fault us for wanting to know. This is our money.
No, of course not. That is our money.
This is public funds.
That's right.
This is taxpayers' money.
That's right.
So to say
that's
that
right, Lennox.
To tell people it's PNM business, but when the UNC would have had their own travails, they quick, of course, to make comments, but you mustn't comment on them. This is not a dictate.
No.
All the tales collectively. But go ahead, my dear.
Yeah, they are above reproach. They are above reproach, Lennox, right? And you have some wannabes and them too questioning why we should be asking this and why we should be asking that we should be asking. Don't tell me what to ask. Don't tell me what to ask. All your hall. Right? Or you could go in the same hall with the PNMites.
Get out of office so we don't have to ask all your. Stop using taxpayers' money under false pretense. And get out of office, and so we will have all will be focusing on, of course, is our business as well, blue lights and silver bracelets. But go ahead.
But Lennox, now I see the Zami man know that Monroe curtail book in Sandy Grande. I'm going to walk with him now. He's going to walk with him. But what was successful? You going to ask people for votes, right? But they must question you. What are you doing for the youths in the area? They must question you. That Stuart Young, I think he held his hand. I'm not going to put my hand in fire for that. But I think he moved him out of the way for them to continue walking. And don't answer the lady who was asking them, what are they doing for the people in that area? You want the people votes? So they figure by putting $100 or $200 or $500 in a jersey and giving them that securing all their vote. I am telling them, take what they're giving all you and vote them out. Because all they see for the last 5 years, Monroe did nothing for all you. Yeah, just like Tobago, right? Monroe did nothing. How many times Monroe spoke on your behalf in that parliament? Once? Nobody. No Wayne Search going to give him a run for his money. Let me tell you something, just like Nabila Green. Nabila Green gave him a run for his money, and suddenly it was one vote separating them, and then you see this big margin. But if you remember, Lennox, in the last election, there was a 9,000 vote template. A 9,000 vote template. Every constituency under the PNM got 9,000 votes. Every one of them. And what was even more distasteful is that Labre, the same votes Labre get in 2015, they got in 2020. Who are they fooling?
And they were like,
not even secret for them. Yeah, because you can't tell me a voter didn't.
Certainty with just a modicum of common sense application. But go ahead, my dear.
But Lennox, so you try to tell me they didn't have one extra voter in Labre and they didn't have a voter that died. That you come up with the same amount of votes, right? The same amount of votes in Labre as you did in 2015 and 2020. If it is all these things not opening up people's eyes at how the EBC is Stephen, I don't know what again. What again? And I want to tell Marsha Walker before I go, woman, you're a pagan. You're a babbling pagan, right? You preaching the Bible like that. You see what Rowley is doing to this country, but you telling people to support Gary? What can Gary do for the people of this country? What can Gary Griffith do? Gary Griffith is a failure. He cannot do anything for these people. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar has a track record of doing for the people of this country. She started the diversification of the economy. And who want to say I lie? Go and look and see. We had it with the boardwalk in Caroline for domestic tourism. We had it with the Children's Hospital for and they had the best burn unit in the Caribbean, right? And they wanted to do medical tourism there as well. They had the DB campus for education tourism, and they also had the aquatic and the tennis center for sports tourism. And all they want to come and tell me, all they say, vote for Michaela or Gary Griffith, but I'm warning people, a vote for Michaela and Gary Griffith is a vote for the PNM. Is that what all you want? And after the election, sit down and cry? Is that what all you want? Because I am telling all you, what Rowley did not do us in this dispensation, he's going to, well, not Rowley, Stuart, this army man, is going to do us in the next one. And as you were saying this morning, Lennox, he said that what they never mentioned anything about property tax. I remember in 2014 in the Harris Promenade in San Fernando, Rowley said Kamala owe him an apology because they never talk about property tax. They are not bringing back property tax. And yet still Kamala saying that they are going to do it. What have they done to us now? And remember, people, remember, it can go up to 10%. It can go up to 10%, and if that is what all they want. And remember, in the last 10 years, they did not give pensioners social welfare. Nobody, the disabled, nobody, 1 single cent. But Rowley is taking $87,000 to go home, and he's going to give Stuart Young the same thing. Is that all you want? Well, only sit down and take it. But don't complain after. Lennox, thank you very much for listening to me. Take care and have a good one. And Andy, yes, you hang in there.
Yes, during the conversation, all I could recall is that thanks to the contribution of Andy Williams in Sangigandi, that of course is creating that stir and that panic in the PNM camp. So well done, Andy. Well done. I know that of course now is not the time, but certainly when in the fullness of time, your rewards will certainly be, should I say, realized when, of course, the seat come homes handsomely for the UNC and Kamala Prasad-Bissessar at the helm of that particular campaign. So one cannot, of course, leave that out. The foundation, the groundwork was laid by Andy for what you're seeing now, the resistance to the PNM as they campaign in that particular constituency. So we have to be able, of course, to recognize these contributions and of course give appropriate what I consider to be commendations, and I have the opportunity now, and I certainly would express that reality. Of course, once again, of course, the numbers to call. We continue, of course, to take your calls. 225-6644, 225-6644, and 239-5120, 239-5120. And of course, if you want to send us a voicemail or a text, a voice text, that is. Voice text, all right. Yeah, because you could convert voice to text, I suppose, these days. 366-3053, 366-3053. WhatsApp, of course, only, and we will, of course, play. If we have any at all, my friend, of course, you can indicate, and of course, proceed. If not, of course, we continue with the discussions. Of course, let me just switch a bit. I thought it was important to look at that SOE matter that is either entering or is at the court. We have one? Go ahead, caller.
Morning, Mikey.
Good morning, sir.
Everybody on the ground report. Lennox, I watched this pastor show yesterday. Pastor Google, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I just call him Pastor Bubble. But go ahead.
About the tiger from the UNC, Munilal. I listened to the whole man speak, and what he referred to, the man had never said that. The man had never said, but I do think they understand English. Pastor Google, you ever talk to they don't understand English? Get out the last station or whatever you have for program. Because you are big fat drums. Pastor, I'm telling you, Pastor, PNL people listen, call him up and he had done, he don't understand English. This guy is like a balloon, a buffoon. He's like a big fat old garaha. And when I listen to that,
you doubly harsh on him,
I think you need to go to the website.
Yeah, the right place. Go ahead.
The way who that woman talk about Sindura and Sindura. She needs to go to Rowley back with Sindura when they're going somewhere. I mean, come on, Madras, don't call the radio station, man. You'll be bad from every radio station because you're such an idiot. Talk about the Chinese. You know the Chinese? You want to speak Chinese? You know, King Fu Makayoyo? You know what that means? Come on, Madras. Come on, man. Talk about how to get rid of Rowley, Sindura, and all of them. Those will support the Chinese. And I think what happened is when you was living in America, you drink too much of the Kool-Aid, according to the wrong here. You were drinking too much Kool-Aid, so they sent you back. They went back to Trinidad. Come on, don't talk. Come on, be smart, man. Let's figure out how to get rid of the PNM and Rowley who is stealing all the money.
I hear you, my friend, of course. Well, I consider him, apart from being Pastor Bubble, I consider these people to be, of course, talk show hoax. Their job, of course, is to demonstrate what you just revealed to us. Hoax. A hoax is something that is unreal. It is not,
right?
Manifestly possible. Yeah.
Our next voice note.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, that's a voice note? Sorry for that.
So, Lennox is talking about the banana thing, and it's all about this church thing, and there's a massive connection between the two. What that episode should tell you and convince you is that the politicians in Trinidad and Tobago are experts at making politics about love and hate. Now, this is generally what politicians do. In Trinidad and Tobago, they are experts at making politics about love and hate for the general public, to allow their finances to exercise the fact that politics is really about ideology and interests. While all they out here loving and hating each other, the financiers are seen to their interests. So you had the banana thing in the UNC ad, and they jumped on that, and people seemingly were incensed by it. Then Rowley said his banana thing, but there was a third episode. I hope people forget. The PNM Family Day at St. George Fifth Park, they had a skit We had a woman wearing a yellow sari, and she was accosted by a bunch of monkeys, but they were red monkeys. They're actually pink. You know our traditional monkey mask, where the costume, they jump around and act like monkeys, but the monkey suit is normally black, right? Significant there, but it was dyed to look red, but it turned out pink. But anyhow, these monkeys would accost this yellow sari wearing woman, and unravel her, like undress her basically, and she would beneath it be wearing a red suit, a red clothes, right? So in fact, they turned the UNC to PNM, right? Everybody, hooray. Now, besides the fallout that came from whether they knew or unknowing, I think they knew that was basically from a Hindu story where a woman, I think it's the wife of Ram, was kidnapped and accosted by monkeys, basically. Besides that, people didn't, I don't know, people psychologically did not see that as the PNM themselves. Not saying we gave them banana, so we call
Lennox,
Hey,
this voice not playing the push me play back again.
yeah, we had it yesterday, but it's nice
I'm
for
gonna plan next one
those
for
who
you.
didn't hear it to
I'm gonna plan
have
next
heard
one
it
for you.
first. Huh?
I'm gonna plan next one for you.
All right, go ahead, my friend.
So I recently spoke to a graduate from Hillview College in my business. He came to get his computer repaired, and we had a really nice talk about Trinidad and what Hillview College is doing. So apparently Hillview has a good programming section in their curriculum. So I told you earlier that China released some artificial intelligence model and they put it up for the world to use. So a few years ago, OpenAI spent billions and billions of dollars to form a large language model database. They had that stuff proprietary onto themselves. China, just a few months ago, they started developing their own large language model, and they made their stuff better than OpenAI and the stuff that the United States is doing. And then what they did is they put their stuff onto the internet for everyone to use for free. So now Microsoft and OpenAI and all these other companies are scrambling to adopt that technology that China put up for free and implementing it into their own models. So my request or plea, whatever, is to the professors at Hillview that are actually overseeing your programming curriculum. How about you gather your 10 smartest students together and you guys take a look at this artificial intelligence model that China put on, and you guys form a team and start developing something that you can actually use in Trinidad. You know, Trinidad used to once have oil as its natural resource, but now in 2025, the new oil is AI and robotics. So I'm not going to stress for the government or the UNC to put this as a part of their manifesto. That seems like a failed mission. So how about you guys at Hillview start doing something, and then we I don't know, I'll build a website if you want, but someone get in contact with me and we start putting this and implementing this for the country. Let's do it all on our own.
Yeah, people, morning Andy, morning Lennox. I hope Andy feel better. Morning, I hope Andy feel better.
Go ahead.
All right, yes, indeed. Of course, I like the idea of that self-initiative as far as that AI and robotics is concerned. I think it's something that we can look at because, of course, YC was speaking there. I recall Kamala Prasad Bisesa talking about, of course, the creation of apps and so on, which, of course, is suggesting that the modernization of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, being, of course, technologically savvy, is something that, of course, is a major plank of the rollout that one expects during Kamala Prasad Bisesa-led UNC administration. Of course, and there is ample evidence to suggest that will manifest itself, will materialize, largely because, of course, she did introduce, of course, laptops to all of the schools, and it was supposed if they got the second term to be rolled out, of course, in the primary school system. And of course, with the proliferation and the reduction in cost to acquire the technology on tablets, for example, I could see, of course, not just the form ones and those who are entering, of course, for the first time, maybe the primary school system, or at a certain level, but I can see it, of course, being utilized, having regard to the cost and the expenditure that the Kamala Prasad Bisesa UNC administration was prepared to, of course, utilize. I could see, of course, every single child in the primary and secondary and possibly in the early childhood centers as well, becoming familiar with the technology. What that does? Well, of course, familiarity means that they will now be able, of course, to venture into other areas, and of course AI would be a natural area, particularly as the caller in that voice note rightly said. That technology can be acquired through, of course, those who are so engaged on the internet, and one thing would lead to the next. So I am very, very enthused that, of course, that is, of course, being contemplated and suggested as part of the efforts to diversify Trinidad and Tobago. But I want to make the point that Kamala Prasad Bisesa is the only leader compared, of course, to Dr. Rowley, who, of course, preferred, of course, to go back in times, become, of course, nostalgic, almost Neanderthal, meaning of caveman-like, by, of course, talking about the computers that was provided to these young people. They were using it for pornography. Imagine that. I mean, only nasty things come out of this man's mouth. Pornography, and, of course, they were using it, of course, to play music. And I think that was so disingenuous. In fact, it's turned out to be extremely dishonest, because here it is, he's now making some attempt by reversing that policy. But again, myopic as they are, they're talking about means test in order to get a computer in this day and age. And of course, I'm sure that ultimately one of the major concerns would have been, of course, connectivity, and therefore, of course, why this government speaks it, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and when they get into government, I'm sure that they will have a nationwide connectivity agenda program where wherever you go, Wi-Fi, or of course, or the internet will be made available. We are, after all, a small society, small geographic space, and therefore I think that is quite possible. In fact, when I was vice chairman of the East Watersway Development Company, that was one of the major issues we were looking at. We brought down some people from the United States to look at, of course, making connectivity available for the entire Laventille community, because that initiative was focused on Laventille, but certainly its success would have meant rolling out to other similar communities that would clearly wanted to be engaging in that kind of technology for the equalization, if you want to call it that, of the entire society, and deepening our democracy, as we have been doing, of course, under the Ground Report and other platforms, Observers, as well as the Corridor Transformation, all of that. Because let's face it, 20 years ago, we would not have been able to interact with with the population in the way that we are doing and taking it as par for the course. But in those days, the government had exclusive control of information dissemination. But of course, I know that they are extremely uncomfortable knowing that we can, of course, every morning, every day, every night, of course, access the population and to decondition them. That, of course, the PNM is not only to disseminate the information, that the PNM is not only disingenuous, not only incompetent, but of course is toxic and is the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago's development, because they clearly, from that one gesture, they would have, of course, sent back Trinidad and Tobago in a most dastard, retrogressive manner. And of course, now 10 years hence, you now want to say that you're going back to that which you should be much more advanced in terms of computer and information technology. I say do away with those kinds of what I consider to be political shenanigans, political advancement in a self-conceited way, and therefore they should not be considered at all to be, of course, a viable option for managing the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago moving forward. That being as it may, let me just remind you of the numbers to call: 225-6644, 225-6644, as well as, of course, 239-5120, 239-5120. 5120, and of course, if you want to send us a message, only WhatsApp 366-3053. Remember, of course, Andy is still recuperating, let me put it that way, or is have been advised to rest. And of course, I would not be surprised if he comes out tomorrow, but I think more realistically, he will be back with us on Monday morning. In the meantime, of course, you have yours truly, Lennox Smith. I don't know if, of course, I don't have, I suppose my assistant will, of course, tell me if we are on Guyel at this point in time, and if we are, well, of course, welcome to the rest of the Caribbean, Guyel Caribbean, and of course, we are there to, of course, provide you with the information that we normally would do, but free, fair, factual, and of course, verifiable. That is the most important thing, verifiable, so that those persons who come and give you ad hominem and pie in the sky talk, and of course attack the personalities, etc., it does nothing for the advancement of Trinidad and Tobago, our young people, and of course those who see crime and criminality as a major option, and worse yet, have gravitated there too, and of course the availability of those who glamorize these what I consider to be antisocial behavior and conduct, and expect Trinidad and Tobago to be in a place where all of us would admire. No, when that is accommodated, we are rapidly descending into a Haiti type environment, social, economic, and psychological, and otherwise. Let's not waste time with that. So those are some of the areas. We have a call?
No, we have no call.
Okay, all right. So the lines are open, people. But let me go to some of the issues that are making the news at this point in time. We have, of course, Heinz signs off on SOE instructions. 3 ordered detained. Well, of course, the SOE has given the power to the minister to detain persons at his, well, I suppose within certain parameters. I don't want to say at his behest or at his pleasure, because that would mean indefinitely. But of course, I'm sure that that regulation will certainly limit what the minister can do in terms of detention. But certainly, I know that certain people were either under house arrest, or they were actually, of course, detained at one of the detention facilities in the country. Gonzales government has spent $127 million to improve Tobago water supply. Of course, that engendered healthy, let's say, recriminations between, of course, the deputy chief executive in Tobago of the THA, and of course Gonzales, and I think Penelope Beckles was there, and of course Webster Roy was also there witnessing that. I think I didn't notice Shamfa Kojo. If she was, she would have had a low profile in that regard. But certainly, of course, the conversation started, or the recrimination started when, of course, it was stated by the Deputy Chief Secretary that, listen, we have been starved for water, etc. Of course, they returned, Gonzalez in particular, pretending to be a diplomat, I want to say, but of course, of a false nature, fake nature. There's no need, of course, for that kind of utterance. And because, of course, we are here trying to, of course,
You're gonna call.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, good morning to the ground report. I hope I hope you get well soon and back on the air. I want to remind Trinidad and Tobago this morning, if they could remember the Drag Brothers on Independence Square. I want to tell them the Drag Brother was doing so good on Independence Square that like they didn't belong there. So the PNM government in the late 70s and the early 80s moved them out of Independence Square. Where they put them, I don't know. But what I'm trying to say, they was too black to do business in Port of Spain. They moved them and replaced them with the Chinese and the Syrian. The black people who had a business in Port of Spain, the Drag Brothers, they should have owned half of Port of Spain with business. But the PNM government didn't see it fit. So they moved them and destroyed the black people. So black people could never shine. They cannot raise their head at all. I want Trinidad and Tobago, especially people at Trinidad, to understand that. Maybe they just please forget them things. They don't remember them. You can never hear nobody bring up that. They cannot remember all those things, so they still want to vote for the PNM, to have them in bondage all the time. Look what they're doing. They're building a set of small house for them with one room. I have to say one room because the smallest room can't even hold a 4x4 bed. Right? And they want to let them commit incest, right? So the children and them will be dottish and ignorant to keep voting for PNM. They're not coming to their senses no time at all. They have black people don't belong. Black people don't belong to PNM, and they're not seeing that. Eric Williams put PNM, black people and Indian apart because he said he don't want letting black people don't get put Indian on top of them. And they get that in the back of their head, sit down there. I was a child when I know that, and they have them sit down there right now voting for PNM like a cash machine, you understand, just getting the 1% rich. So I don't know if they could come to their senses right now and see the people and them see PNM for who they are this morning. With this song of my voice this morning, I only hope a lot of people remember that story. Have a good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you very much for that piece of information. Only to add that, of course, the Drag Brothers were relocated to Piccadilly Street, not too far from the Bessel Street Police Station across the road. But of course, at the back, the western border is the Dry River. So they are along the Dry River, which would be considered to be maybe a continuation or the beginning of what we call in East Port of Spain the Greens. But they are closer, of course, to the police station. So, yes, you are quite right. Your historical account is true. They were moved, of course, from, of course, what we used to call or still call Bankers Row on the Brian Lara Promenade. And yes, you're also right that, of course, you have a street named Charlotte Street renamed what? Chinatown, and all of that, giving way, of course, to another ethnic group, and yet still they remain over the years dependent on the African vote to stay in office, and the Africans seem to have obliged as if they are suckers for punishment. But I'm sure that with the latest move by Rowley, that is no longer, at least I would want to think, and of course I deem myself, of course, a man on the ground, and what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, I'm extremely pleased that people are becoming conscious of their power. And of course, only last night I talked about, of course, the PNM owing the Laventils because they were the ones that kept the fight and were able to have them get back into office after the PNM ought to have been decimated in 1986, but they got back into office in 1991. And largely because of the presence or the loyalty or the devotion of Laventers, but yet still Laventer continues, of course, to be disrespected, to degenerate, higher than national average murders, higher than national average, of course, crime and criminality, higher than national average gangs, higher than national average, of course, truancy and school dropouts, higher than national average young girls making children, higher than national average women single parents, higher than national average persons who cannot or will not, of course, have a full certificate. They either get no subjects or are talking near now CXC, or if they do, they get less than 5 subjects, which of course is considered to be a full certificate in order to get a job or to go to the next stage of their academic pursuit and or vocational development. So we have all of those things, and as the argument goes, that of course they owe Laventille for their very existence, but we have seen that they have given them, of course, that level of loyalty, Laventille, onto the PNM and Balize House, and what the return was, of course, pain, ache, agony, pressure, salt, and of course bitterness. So I expect, of course, that in the 39 seats that will be captured by the UNC in Trinidad, I'm talking about here, that of course Laventille obviously will have to play its part and not, of course, be outside of the history or be on the wrong side of history on this occasion. Let me just give you, of course, the numbers to call once again. The numbers to call are 225-6644, 225-6644, and of course the other one 239-5120, 239-5120, and of course if you want to drop us a note, 366-3053, 366-3053. And just look at some more of the issues that are making the news as we await, of course, the other call. I will pause once a call is available. UNC MP calls for Caribbean Airlines ATR safety audit. Well, of course, people coming from Tobago, and maybe that caller from Tobago, the last caller, I think this might be appropriate. Yes, a plane coming from Tobago at landing at Piaco. Well, they were in for a fright in that one of the engines, it turned out to run out of gas, or run out of fuel, I should say, not gas, but fuel, because there's special fuel, aviation fluid they would use. But the fact of the matter is that run, and they had to have a emergency landing. Of course, commendation was given to the pilot team that, of course, did put all the protocols in place for such a eventuality or such a emergency, and everything turned out well. Of course, the plane has been taken out of service at this point in time, and I think 2 pilots and an engineer has been, of course, asked to not to report for work because that is the standard practice. I'm not saying that they were fired, by no means, but the standard practice as an investigation is launched, because of when it's people's lives we are talking about in more ways than one. That being as it may, so the UNC is calling for audit of those particular aircrafts, the ATR, those with the propellers, you know. TT Post accuses Union of bad faith in wage talks. Well, of course, negotiations are taking place. These, of course, bargaining units of and bargaining entities and representative of workers. Well, it appears that the administration is accusing the bargaining union of bad faith. I did not read that article, so I cannot, of course, comment. We have a caller. All right.
No.
Imam.
No. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Hi. Good morning, Lennox.
Good morning.
Thanks for holding down the fort again, and blessings to Andy. So family supposed to operate, help each other and keep things going, right? So blessings to both of you and also Mikey. Yes, Lennox, that lady who called a while ago and spoke about the drag brothers and thing down on Independence Square when they moved them from there, right? And Lennox, I am wondering how it is that my people, they don't realize even up to this, they celebrated 69 years or how much years of the PNM. And when you look at it, Lennox, so let's keep it real. Where has the black people really reached as far as big business is concerned? Let us be real. And the people inside there, and all PNM could have offered them through the years is to tell them that they're black and to keep a black government in power and keeping themselves in bondage. And nobody through the years open their eye and realize that they are the ones, PNM was just using them to stay in power and they were suffering. Nobody realized it. But strange enough, Lennox, as they say, the longest day has an end. I am hearing people now who are saying, who was like a black this and a black that and a black the other. Somehow they have come to the senses, Lennox, maybe not all but a lot. And they have come to realize after such a long time, a long journey, they have come to realize that PNM was only using this blackness to keep the PNM in power. It took them a long time, but a lot of them opened their eyes, you understand? And when we look at it, that's why we must never forget. People must stop thinking about PNM, stop thinking about the government, and start thinking about yourself and your family. Because a lot of people in this country could have reached further if PNM was a government for the so-called black people. When I tell you I hate this race, so I hate it. But it is reality, and we have to face it and talk the truth, regardless of how bad it sounds. Then when you look at it, these people sit down there and allow PNM to destroy them. Look at the drag mall at the corner of Cedric Street and Queen Street. Lennox, that building, that piece of land has been there for years. Look how much has look how much of the 1% place burned down, they believe that, and that is still there, a car park. Why that wasn't a 2, 3 or 4 story businesses where the black people could have been doing business? No, black people not in with the PNM, right? Then they take them Lennox, the black people, they really don't want a thing, black people to put them down Charlotte Street. Call Charlotte Street in the middle of town with the so-called black people and call Charlotte Street Chinatown. And you know what? All of them accept that. You go down Charlotte Street and see after all these years, they're selling by the side of the road. When sun shining, it burning them. When rain falling, it wetting them. And nobody is looking to do better. Nobody is looking to improve themselves. Right? That is the kind of business they must have. Business in a pan, and in a box, and in a piece of shed that's falling down. They ain't want no air-conditioned building with proper toilet and thing facilities and where they can be comfortable. No, black people always have to be treated like slaves. And the point is this, they're not recognizing it. They're not recognizing that they're only doing things to keep the big man on top while they're suffering. They have to understand now, PNM is not a party to elevate the black man. They only use the black man and tell them they're black, so they have to stay down. And what they have to do, what they're good for, is to vote for PNM. So people, a lot of you, I'm so happy this morning to see that a lot of people have opened their eyes, and they say better late than never, and they realize they deserve better. We have people with talent in this country, you hear? But lack of opportunity by this PNM government is what have them suffering. You understand? When you look at it, Lennox, this is a beautiful country. We should have been raking in billions of dollars with tourism. There are people in this country, people with the max. Excuse me, I get the flu. The people in this country, they can make so much different nice food. So much, they can make like standards, so much craft, so many things that people could do in this country. PNM never give them the opportunity, and they never recognize that they can rise if they get rid of this PNM. You understand? And you know something, I could go on and on. But the callers of this program, they're bright and they're intelligent and the memory good. Every day, all you must call. Every day, callers, all you call and remind the people. This is history of all the ills of PNM for through the years. Remind the people that PNM did nothing for a lot of black people who, given the opportunity, they could have done so much better. Some of them, they're born in PNM and they're still living in a house with galvanized and plywood, right? Not because they can do better, but they never got the opportunity. You understand? So, let me get read. You see all of them who come in with this party and that party and tell us to vote for them? Forget that. Forget that. We want to live better. It's about time. What should have been done was not done, but they say better late than never. Let all my people decide we want to rise. When we vote in this election, it ain't we ain't voting for this, UNC or PNM. We voting for we. We voting for a party that will fix Trinidad and Tobago so that we all will live better. This is a beautiful country. This country could be prosperous, you understand? Given the opportunities. All these, when you look at it, people in this country, when you look at it, the Kamala Prasad system when they have life sport, PNM does destroy anything just to stay in power. I am looking, when you have life sport, you know, if Kamala Prasad says a government that stayed in power, and we had life sport, I honestly believe that all these youths about the place with guns and drugs and all kind of things, they would have been given the opportunity to go and exercise and to go and to participate in sports. I am sure a lot of those young men, a lot of those youths out there who with gun and with violence, they could have gone to the Olympics. They could have been playing football somewhere. There are people in this country who have the ability to do good things, but due to the lack of opportunities, you hear, they're sitting by the corner. You think all of them, that is the reason. You think all of them who sitting by the corner and doing nothing want to be by the corner? There are good young people, but when PNM ain't giving them no opportunity, the only time the PNM know the days is election time, when it's time to vote. Or they go see them this year, or they go hear them this year. They go get all your this, and they don't get all your that. Get wise, you understand? Doggy look a bone. When election done, all the bone done. Only when they come this year, run them. It's about time that the young people and the people in this country start to rise. It might be late, but nevertheless, once they given the opportunity, Kamala Prasad says, as you all saw how the performance in 2010-15, and Rowley did everything in his power to show all you how they evil, she drunk, she this, she that. And all you think, all you believe, all you have a brain in all your head. Sit down and have a conversation. Everybody have a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself questions and answer the question. Ask yourself if PNM treat all you right. Ask all yourself if PNM is good governance. Ask all yourself if all this crime and all this suffering and all this property tax and all the gas that going up, everything in the pharmacy expensive, everything in the grocery expensive, that's good governance? Or you want to continue, sir? Well, let me tell you people, this is the opportunity now. Everybody change the mindset. Remember what PNM did to this country and the people of this country in the past, and just decide it must stop. It must end. It must never, ever, ever happen again. Going to vote UNC, vote, and remember, when UNC wins, we win. It's about time we as citizens start winning and stop allowing these people, stop voting for these people to get them a walk so that they can go into parliament and do nothing while the people out here suffering. They know everybody is buddy, everybody is friend, everybody nice. Look at dollar, look at this, look at that. Now election coming. And they all you stupidly go and put all your ex by the bodies there and make them win. All you dead, they even looking at all you, they change their phone number and they ignore all you 100%. So people, think about all yourself. And let me make sure we vote for all of you to live better. Blessings, guys.
Yes, indeed. Of course, I am minded, tempted, and in fact, I will, of course, say go to the top of the class. I think that assessment of the realities of the African community in particular and the deception that ultimately that monolithic fake that monolithic, of course, conditionality, of course, has manifested itself at the end, if you want to call that, of the term, self-imposed, of course, by Rowley. He could have stayed on, and there were all indications that he would have stayed on to be as Prime Minister and lead the party. Having regard, of course, to the to his antecedent, to his conduct, just at the ending of last year, maybe in the last quarter of last year, when of course he said in response to a question that he has already written to the
coming.
Oh, go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. I just want to commend that.
Morning, Andy, Lennox, Mickie, Workers' Right Platform, Wilson Jeffrey, guy on the channel, up and down the Caribbean, to the listeners on all the platform, and we want foreign observers.
Good morning.
So, Uncle Lennox,
hey.
The last caller, good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. So, the last caller, Miss Woodbrook, last night, your program, so you see, she understand what you was talking about. The delivery to the people of Lavantil and surrounding areas, especially the vulnerable youths. So there we have it. And the reason why, I just want to say now, the reason why Keith Rowley didn't call the internal election, he knew well that the people, the membership at the PNM, the grassroots, reject him outright. So he used the Chavez Maduro's method to put an interim prime minister. That is a dictator, just like Maduro and them. Because he appoint a man, he choose the anointed one, he anoint, and he push it on the membership. The membership rejected, but mainstream media, and they are not highlighting it. Now, if people really want to see how they reject the PNM, the Workers' Right Platform have a video in Sandy Granny where Stuart Young and Monroe was walking. And when the lady asked Monroe questions about the youth in the village who need help, Stuart Young raised his hand like a little child and pull him and go on the way. And just imagine what the crowd who's following them. The one who does, the lawyer who does get selected for in Hines' position, he up there in Sandy Grande walking with Stuart Young and them, campaigning. They should tell you it's a renter crowd. They're renting a crowd now while they're walking in the community because it's shame. The people are coming out to, like how they support, how they used to do. And yes, plenty people don't understand. And it making it feel because of these social media misfit. But the ground, they reject and they're asking Rowley call the date. And that's why Rowley just playing with the date. And he don't want to call the date. And that is by the SOE. Because he should have, it's time to put an end to the SOE because it has no use. So the African brothers and sisters are waking up, Uncle Lennox. They are waking. They are awakened. Yeah? So here what's going on. Rowley is just putting cosmetic on something. And he using his dictatorship method to bully the executive and others. Yeah? I want first the comments to say about the 100 house where they're going to break. And what he helping them people to secure themselves. AGC come in, they had an advertisement, AGC come in, evicting people all on the stop. Is it a food care they're sharing out again like what they do in Tobago? Helter skelter again to hoodwink them. The citizens don't want it. The PNM supporters don't want that. They want sustainability. And the next thing I want to touch on, the PNM structure, anytime you talk about the race and how they're being treated, the first thing they jump on and say that they're discriminating and they're talking racial talk. That is how the PNM structured the organization to make it look, when they educated the African brothers, always talking about what is going on. It put them and me, you and them. So we passed that because just imagine our economy, it have no sustainability. All the unions, the membership, I'm talking about all the unions right now who negotiated, they have members they represent. It's the members that I'm calling out. All they know what to do in this general election for a better life. Have a nice day, Trinidad and Tobago.
Marvelous, my friend. Marvelous indeed. We have another call? The calls are coming in fast and furious. And of course,
morning,
I know
Lennox,
that you
Mikey,
are busy with your host.
Andy,
Go ahead,
hope
caller.
you're feeling a lot better. Newbie and to everybody out there. Woodbrook, that you are right. You are right. PNM not treating them good, but they like it so. They like it so because they want to rebel. And we've seen Facebook posts. They want to rebel against the Indians, right? Let me take back the country from the Indians. I didn't know here belonged to all here, right? But they would rebel against the PNM who treated them like dogs. They would rebel against them. Imagine in this day and age, they're still using suspects. You remember, Lennox, when the UNC was doing the suspect eradication for the people at Laventil and Mova and all those places. And from the time PNM came in, they stopped it. Franklin can't say they had no money to continue it, but they had 3 million to give Rowley to buy paintings. That is how they treat them. No respect. And yet still, they will jump and wave and do the left foot, right foot balize for the PNM. And Port of Spain is a typical example of the slave ship mentality. That is what they're accustomed to. They don't want better for themselves. Anybody trying to give them better, they don't want it. And as you are right, as you rightly said again, Woodbrook, that area there, that was the drag mall, right? They could have done something better with that. But no, they rather the Syrian man treat them like that too. Sorry, the 1% treat them like that too. Than to stand up and say, look, enough is enough and we need better. No, they don't want that for themselves. They don't want better. And we have seen perfect examples of it. And Lennox, by the way, how do you spell Mova? Thanks a lot.
Well, I don't think it's Mova was the bad spelling. It was Avenue. Just imagine that. AVE or something, so Avenue. AVE, I think the V, they put an N there instead.
Go ahead. I don't have no question to take.
No, what? Yes, indeed. I am very, very, very pleased and electoral manifestation. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But what is for sure that there is a level of consciousness, and once there's a level of consciousness and discussion take place, the brain will tell the muscles what to do in the polling booth on election day. No more PNM. It cannot be. It's impossible. And to, of course, give credence to what the callers are saying in terms of their observations, I want to carry the conversation further to say that the UNC would certainly generate the transformation and, of course, develop the respect and the developmental protocols. We have a caller? Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
Hello? Go ahead, Lennox.
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes. The developmental protocols for the transformation and what is
go ahead, caller.
Hello, good morning.
We have one?
Hello?
And the transformation,
I'm not here. Hello?
metamorphosis that is required, attitudinal change. You see, I am not talking by guess. I never do.
Lennox, Lennox, you have a call.
We have a caller?
Hello, good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Lennox. Hello?
I'm not hearing the person, that's why.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, Lennox.
Caller, go ahead. Yes,
Hello?
go ahead, caller. Sorry about that.
I'm not hearing you. You hear me, Lennox?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello. Right, Tunapuna here, fellas. Are you hearing me, Lennox? Because I'm not hearing, I'm getting a reply from you.
Caller, go ahead.
Okay, right. Lennox, you know, I want look at the comedy errors in this one.
We seem to be getting an audio issue or communication problem.
Well, I don't know, but the guy, the operator.
They might have an internet issue.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello, morning.
Caller, go ahead.
Lennox.
We'll have to ask them to call back then if it's so.
I could go ahead.
Go ahead and talk, Lennox.
Okay, caller, will try again.
Caller, go ahead.
All right, Lennox.
You have one?
Yeah, I hear the line, Lennox. Tackle you go. Lennox, you hear me? Lennox.
Caller, just talk.
All right, watch me. Lennox, come and hear the story of the Jack brothers, yeah? You meant Lennox, you hear me?
Caller, you just talk.
Right, I'm going ahead. Lennox, let me hear the story of the Jack brothers. The Jack brothers. The Jack brothers went and make lunch with Eric Williams. And he gave them the best spot in the Caribbean, Frederick Street. He put them in front of people's business places. Right? But touting is against the law. Even what taxi drivers do it now. You're going there, that's against the law. And they start to harass people when they're passing on Frederick Street. And people get fed up and they start to pass through Henry Street to come into Steve Mantle and all the other stores. And on Sharon Street, the same thing they did. And that frustrated the Black brothers. And then they went to Queen Street and they started to sell marijuana. You hear what I'm telling you? In other words, Eric Williams put the Jack brothers there to destroy them for cussing him. That is the history of the Jack brothers. He put them there to destroy them, Lennox. Because you can't, people get fed up. You're passing the taxi by this taxi, people get fed up of that. Right? The same thing taxi drivers will be doing now. You're going there, you're going that, all that against the law. So the drug brothers destroyed themselves, but Eric Williams put them there for that to happen to them. I'm telling you, because you had the Henry Street entrance, the Shackle Street entrance, people started to pass through there, and no sale for them on Frederick Street. Right? You must check it out, Lennox. I'll go on with that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Of course, I have a lot to say about it. In fact, I can tell you, I'm very familiar because I've been involved, of course, in advocating on their behalf. We have another call? Right.
Yeah, so, we have a next caller.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Hello?
We hearing you. Just do ask, talk.
All right. Hello, Tunapuna here.
Tunapuna, go ahead.
Right. Lennox, let me just draw your attention to something.
Caller, go ahead.
Right. Now, Lennox, it's strange enough, PNM is now awarding some of the old stalwarts, Franklin Khan and whatnot, and them fellas. Right. Right. Franklin Khan and them is now being awarded by the PNM. Right?
Right. So that's one.
Lennox, your bagong is on. Tunapuna. Yen for the television.
Pardon me?
Yen for the television.
Yes, sir.
May I come out from in front of the television?
I'm muted. But I'm not hearing Lennox responding. So this is why. So what should I do? Continue my contribution?
Just talk. You have 2 minutes to talk.
All right. Well, I ain't getting anything. I know. You know, strange enough, Lennox. Today they're having a special meeting to discuss the cabinet. PNM cabinet will be discussing the handing down of the Privy Council judgment, which state that Imbot could be in trouble. But it's not only Imbot alone should be in trouble, it's the whole PNM headed by Keith Rowley. Because Keith Rowley is the soon about $3-point-something billion missing. So therefore all of them is culpable, right? Now, another laughing thing, Lennox, is that what happened with Caribbean Airlines? Do you think that's a good image for people wanting, foreigners and so, or locals even self, to travel with Caribbean Airlines? Huh? This is bad. This is bad when you're talking about this problem with what happened with Caribbean Airlines and this fuel issue. But Imbot is, when they interview Imbot, he said, well, the pilots and them, they have suspended so much people, the pilot and 2 other technical people and whatnot. Okay, for that era. But then again, you call Imbot, cannot account for $3-point-something billion, and therefore you should be fired as well. You should be suspended until an investigation is conducted. The next thing again, Lennox, I see the Attorney General is attacking Senator Mark for his statement against America, as though they're saying that they're glad, the opposition is very glad if the U.S. sanctioned Trinidad and Tobago. We don't have to tell the U.S. that. They see what it is going on. They see your close associate with Donald Trump and whatnot. And you, Attorney General, cannot represent Trinidad and Tobago in the court of America. So don't try to blame it on the UNC. Understand what I'm saying? You are abysmal failure, and you should be charged for lying in the court of America, Attorney General.
Next caller.
Hi, morning. Good morning, Mighty K, Lennox Smith. Andy, wherever you are, we are praying for a speedy recovery for you. And thank you very much, operator. I appreciate it so much. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago Central here.
Good morning to you as well,
Mighty, Lennox. Thank you. So, Trinbagonians, we are looking on the social media and seeing how some human being is so heartless and wicked to themselves. You telling me people in this island call the madhouse, the twin island, the madhouse called the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago. You telling me people still have the audacity, the belly, the mindset to go out there and still support this wicked, corrupted, nasty, thieving, lying, PNM corrupted government? All the people right in all your head? Is it that only taking some kind of drugs and it not adding up with you all? PNM already had 10 years, people. 10 years these people had. And there's absolutely nothing that them brought to the table. And you telling me only still want to go there and support that? 600 and plus murder. We just step into 2025. What you're telling me, because we come into a brand new year, we must put a blind eye to all those deceased people who gone from this place, this wicked land. We must just put a blind eye to that people. How more wicked human beings could be on this face of the earth, boy? Or it cannot be for real in this country. It cannot be for real. That is why we cannot blame the corrupted, nasty-minded, thief and lying PNM government. We just can't blame them alone. It's the people. Our community don't be bad enough. Our country is not bad enough. It's the people in it. You understand what I'm saying? These people real wicked, Lennox. The wicked to the self, man. These people over wicked to themselves, man. Watch night in our water to watch down these people and them again in this land, innit? This is about a woman who adjusting the candidate for a particular area. This corrupted thief lying, nasty palm, want to be prime minister, man. Stuart Young Lil Pin. Pull away the man while the woman asking him question, why should I vote for the PNM? You're so disrespectful and unprofessional. You pull away the man and you say, oh yeah, bring him up for that. And only supporting that? Only want that to be only leader in this country? Or this madhouse slash? I tell you something wrong with human being on the face of the earth. Yeah, what's going on? God gain all the time, innit? That the real boss go come down in this place. That is the real boss go come down and hear what I'm telling all you. All you have a hefty price to play, boy. All you will have a hefty price to pay. Because all you're doing is not all yourself alone, all you're doing it all a generation too dread. All you're too wicked. All you're wicked just like the government, and all you're wicked just like anything else. To see all you supporting something that don't support all you. This place in a real, corrupted, total mess. But all you're coming out there to support. Support what? It's all you giving them the strength. Paul Pot getting on like if you know he's solving the matter. He's seen about the case as fast as it happened. Eh? All you making these people and them feel up their self-dread. All you need to sit down and check all yourself. All you're going back into mental slavery. Mental slavery, all you're going back to.
Hold on, please, until my son shall finish.
You understand what I'm saying? We can't take this thing no more. Chenbe gonna telling all you if all you're going and do all yourself that. All you're going and pong the last nail on all your own coffin and all you're not seeing it. Hear what I'm telling all you. You sit down on we zone, hear what I'm telling all you. From the smallest to the biggest, from the youngest to the oldest, to make up their mind and the band the belly. And I wish all over this madhouse, called the country of Trinidad and Tobago, could change their mindset like that. And say, here what's going on. We already gave these people and them the time. They had nothing to bring to the table. They want to say the UNC thief, right? The UNC thief, but they could feel it, touch it, and see it. The PNM didn't thief. You can't see it, you can't touch it, and you can't feel it. So what sense? What sense it making, Trinbagonians? All you do a little research and homework now. Learn to start to read up and research and things. And all you get all your own answers for yourself. If all you don't want to take the information on the solid, nice, educated, strong platform, call the ground report. If all you can't understand it here, go and look to start to do some research and learn something when the day come. Because apparently all you too fully done like the rest. And all you not learning it. These people only there to fill the pocket, to see about themselves, families and finances with a good wit. All the supporters have to stay down there. All you mustn't live up. You understand? All you mustn't eat and drink nice the same way. All you mustn't fly out of the country the same way. Why people are so foolish, right? All you put people in front of all your own self. It's self-serve. Support party in front. I tell you, we don't support nonsense. And the reason why we're going full 100 with the UNC is because the end we see performance by that party. And all you know that all yourself, but all you wicked and racial and all your heart now. Racialism is waiting out the inside, Lennox. Racialism. That's what the political leader pushing. Every time an election come around, the race cadres come along. All that has done that by them thing was back in the days. We in 2025, thank God people live to see this year. Stop be wicked to all yourself and all your generation and try to live up the life and run discipline in front of all the place. Because that's what's taking place behind the side here now. They can't come in front of nobody place. They don't tell them, hey, don't make a mistake and come in front here. All of them come out like that. And once all they show that, then people will understand fully. Nah, boy, people change their mindset and they're serious. Just imagine, CPEP get half pay. CPEP workers get half pay and they're supporting that. Let be the UNC do that now. The whole of Trinidad burned down. All they too wicked, all they too racial, all they need to step up to the game. You understand? And no non-performing government are working performing government. Stop playing the racial card. You understand? Change all their mindset and all their dirty ways. Trinbagonians, just remember talking to the ones who are the head on the body. Just remember when these people and them with a non-performing self come in front of all the place, all they run them like a dog and tell them, hey, go from in front here, why? You understand? Tell them, yellow is the code all the way. PNM nothing. And it's that.
Wow,
Next
wow. You have another caller?
Next caller. Yeah.
Go ahead, caller. I'm enjoying this.
Morning, Lennox. Morning, Andy. Morning, Mighty K. Hey, Lennox, when you get in touch with Andy, tell him Malcolm X have a private doctor to take him to. If there's any illness, I want to take him to a private doctor. I want him going to institute for nobody to give him no bad injection. That is one. Two, Trinidadian, as the sister now talking there, is the gospel truth. But we have to face reality. Trinidadians have to support party, and who supporting the PNM have a fear for change. You see this word they call change, it have plenty people in this country don't want to work like how they will work in America and England and Canada. Everybody is want to go when they want. You go licensing, you go waiters, you see they coming in any hour, they leaving any hour. You see they staying home, they getting pay. As long as they gain, they pay straight, everything going good with them. And that is why people afraid to move away from the PNM party. Because they tell themselves that as long as PNM in power, they could go when they want, come when they want, and do what they want. So they're not working for country. They're working for party. Check the doctors and all in the hospital. All you check it out good. Now, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Lavanti. As we know Lavantil. And I want you to reflect your mind. You know, the days before URP and crash program, Lavanti had the most set of industries and everybody was working from Fernandez straight down to the Dry River by the Eastern Foundry. So when they say about laziness, PNM create that laziness in Lavanti when they bring these set of crash program gang. You know how much good fellas with passes and all kind of thing wanted to go to work just because they know they could go and sit down in sharp trace, in this drain, in that thing, stay for 2 hours and you're getting pay, and when you're done, you go. It has some road in Lavanti take 20 years. Marcella Street Community Center maybe take about 30 years to build off a URP. And this is what the breed that PNM have done to Lavanti people. So when you go into these people now to tell them about change, it's hard for them to recognize that change, Lennox. You know, people will leave Elite Factory, they leave Fernandez, they leave the Eastern Foundry to go and work URP because of the hours and the pay used to be more. So when we look at it, who created, just as how they create the weed now for the youth, they legalize the weed. The weed is better hiding and smoking, you know. Now you're showing a man walking up Charlotte Street with his child, but he have a big roll on in his mouth, and his child with a school bag and his school clothes going up Charlotte Street. So check the culture, right? Now yesterday I say something as somebody who born in Sawa. I born in Sawa, Pondit Street, and I know Arangwes Boundary Road was garden, right? All you look at Boundary Road, Arangwes, through the Savannah, all them trace Boundary Road extension. Watch at the Indians where used to plant garden and how it developed now. Every place on Boundary Road, LC Koro, have a business place. So when I talking, I ain't talking about just for talking sake. For we to open our eyes and see. The problem with the African people, we afraid change because the culture. So that is why Rowley and them could use the race card to keep we in bondage. Trinidad and Tobago, we in serious times. And this is not a time for handout. This is a time for hard work and work for country. The doctor, the lawyer, look at where the lawyers do the poor man. Putting off the case, and every time the case put off, it's $1,500 you have to pay when the case could done in a day, because it's everybody in this country on money, not on the country. And the same people leaving here, going to America, and you see all of them who come in for carnival, they won't miss the flight because they had a work. Just imagine that, Trinidadian telling your boy how to go back to work, If I ain't go back, I could lost my work. And in Trinidad, a man staying home 3-4 days. And just because he and the boss is friends, they ain't studying country. I don't want to stay too long, but it's so much to say. PNM never helped poor people. It have a poor black man who I know personally when the coup take place, had Manning hiding in his place and called Ken Valley to carry him, God rest his soul, to carry him in hide keeping. That man dead a pauper. That a pauper. They never get a man a contract as an African man. Check Monroe and these people we was businessmen around town. And let me tell all you something who talking drag brothers there. That prime land there is the same 1%, and them business don't want no business. They to give them no competition. It in 3 times Lennox or 4 times the drag brothers place Bondong. How it Bondong? So when all you're talking about who selling weed, who thinking weed, black people mustn't be on Frederick Street to establish no big business again. %, all you take that and face reality are gone.
Next caller. Next caller.
Wow. Go ahead, caller. Talk out, man. Speak.
Good morning, Lennox.
Good morning.
Good morning, man. So I'm not in the road. I'm sitting in my office. I'm sitting and watching you on big screen here. So I just muted. Anyway, I want to vent a little bit on Woodbrook. What she's saying is right, because all these problems happening is all about race. It's not about party. You know what I mean? Everything is party and race, and that's what have the country like that. And do you understand that they have different people live there? You have Chinese people live there. You have Syrian people live there. All these people do not. You ever hear anything about them venting about anything or helping anybody else? They're all about themselves, and they leave the other ethnic group fighting among themselves. So since I was living there 40-something years ago, all these things are happening from then, going back before that in the 1960s or since PNM was there, and they carrying on the same tradition. Look at the state of that country. They haven't reached anywhere, and my people did not do further. They did not educate themselves. They did not accept the party. You have to look at this way. You have to look at what you could do for the country, what you could benefit yourself, you and your children, and your future children and your grandchildren. And not to bring this kind of way. Look at the country. I don't know what else to say, because it's mind-boggling. Even Central, everybody is venting about this, and they seem that they're not listening. And they're studying race, they're studying who is better than who. And it's very, very, very sad, It's very, very sad, Mr. Lennox. Trinidad and Tobago, they have to come together now. Fix that.
Yes, indeed. I mean, people
are
are talking their minds and their hearts. Go ahead, caller.
Voice
you have another caller?
Voicemail here.
All right, go ahead with the voicemails. We will listen, and I'm sure that the whole world is also listening, but in particular Trinidad and Tobago. Go ahead, my friend.
They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary, walk and not faint. Have faith in God. God is able. God said he'll fight us for us, and I know he's fighting yours for you. No weapon that... Morning, Lennox. Morning, Andy. I want you to remember they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary, walk and not faint. Have faith in God. God is able. God said he'll fight our battles for us, and I know he's fighting yours for you. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper, and any tongue that rise up in judgment shall be condemned. In the name of Jesus, I declare healing for you from the Almighty, not from nobody else, from the Almighty. Mr. Lennox, what happened yesterday in Tobago with Gonzales is very disrespectful. You cannot come into a body called the assembly and you don't invite the assembly people. You go in and put up, you spend $100 and how much $1 million to go and put up a plant in Goldsboro. And Goldsboro is Faith Be Israel constituency. So you want to go up and all the constituencies where you know that the people don't care about you. You're going there to make the people look as though they ain't doing nothing in their constituency. But who has the treasury in their hand more than the central government? And him's both trying the best not to give you no money to make Tobago look up because they don't want Tobago to look good. And they know anytime Tobago start to rise, it blows, they get in left, right, and center. I want my people of Tobago to understand. Do not carry down the people in the assembly. They are not the ones holding the money. The money people are the people who are doing the nonsense and taking it and coming over here. When Kamala was here and she come, all say all kind of things. She disrespectful and disingenuous. Gonzales with the face always paint up with makeup like a little girl. Come over here to talk down. We can't talk down we here. We don't want them here. I don't know what they're coming here for. And when they come, they just come with a zombie. So every time they come, something happen here. Where Penelope, she going with them. They spit she out like nothing. And she there behind them like a damn dog be looking for a bone. Cool yourself, girl. Why you don't keep out of them people away? That is what telling Tobagonians. Look what PNM does do PNM. And there still is PNM. But in Tobago, as a little mishap happen or something where fit all the pus, all you start to cuss down the politician and say this and say that. PNM don't move, boy. All don't move to go no way. Stay where we are. We give them 14-1 and we have to lick up the 2 seats east and west. Don't care who come out and blah, blah, blah in their mouth, but no work for the people. And how they getting money to get the work? It's just, I never hear of a country who everybody working under the government. You have private sector, you have construction, you have all them food outlets, you have all kind of, why they can't go and look for something? You have to start somewhere before you reach somewhere. And all them nonsense, what's not all of them coming out to make life to talk about. When you talking about Scarborough Town, he know that Rowley them and sign the memorandum for them people who trying to help you to fix Scarborough, to get Scarborough fixed. He knows that. He only making up himself and making himself a fool because you don't change your address already to Trinidad. You change your address to be wanted to be the Prime Minister and the Mayor Port of Spain. And you come now after you done lick up PSA and lick up this and lick up that. You're coming now to try to... Tobagonians didn't vote because of you, boys, because of Farley, boy. Not because of you, boy. Because you have too much allegations behind your name. And Trinidad people, they tell we go still go happen. And we seen it. Once you can't get power, you're the most arrogant and raging bull like Rowley. And you're congregating with them and causing Tobago to be how it is for today because Rowley, when I look at meeting them with Rowley, we ain't getting no money over here to spend. But God is able. And God don't sleep. And all you will decide to carry down Tobago and carry down the people at Tobago and let them look like there is nothing.
Wow, wow, wow. Good morning, Mikey.
Good morning to you, my brother, Lennox Smith. Hey, my comrade, brother Andy Williams, out and about, our technical director, and everyone that's locked on. We are on Gael TV. Let me say good morning to the Gael family, to all our Caribbean brothers and sisters that are locked on. Good morning to you. Those in the diaspora who's out there, of course, in the UK, North America, wherever you are locked on. Good morning. And Sister Al Tobago, just heard Miss Bernie, and all the ground reporters, all the observers, all the stakeholders, all the corridor transformers. Good morning indeed. Yes, yes, she said quite a lot there, boy.
Oh yeah. This morning, what I am very, very impressed with the presentations of the callers. I think there's a level of
We have a
consciousness,
caller.
awareness that. Oh, we have a caller. Go ahead.
Hello, Mikey, Lennox, Andy. I'm
Yeah.
Lennox. Tunapuna here
Good
again,
morning.
brother. Right. Now, let me just show you something. Why this country is bankrupt. Because I'll tell you, I've seen now that Uricot under Noel Garcia has been given the green light to go ahead and to sell out the state lands of at Invaders Bay. You know who will get that, Lennox? The wealthy, the rich, the financiers, and what have you. And they're going to go into yachting, big hotel, big condominiums, and all these things outline what they plan to do. But you know, when the poor people was occupying the Chaguaramas land, you run them out of there. When William Monroe wanted to get down there where they had the spectrum down there, you get rid of them. You know, so you're facilitating the wealthy in this country, and you're denying the poor people, the citizens of this country, of their fundamental rights, in terms of ownership of land and what have you, and selling it to the wealthy. It means that therefore the country is bankrupt and they're desperate for money, so they will sell out all the resources of the country, state assets, what have you, including land and whatnot. But to hear the audacity of Keith Rowley addressing the PNM convention and say that we lose out big because the Sandal thing with the UNC opposed to, they went to one of the, I think it's St. Vincent, one of them, and they have now established itself as a top a haven for tourists. And because all that Sandals has moved from Trinidad to Tobago, but Sandals, the government that island didn't spend no money to build hotel and do what? The government here under you, Keith Rowley, was taking taxpayers' money. How much billions it would have cost us to build that Sandals resort, and then put it in the hands of Butch Stewart and them fellas and them to run that? You only take Keith Rowley. I am telling you this. You and your government, all your ministers on the take, all you accepting bribe, because it started with the Jindal and then from India with the refinery. It started with the acquisition of the Pantrambago headquarters of the land for one of them Indian businessmen to open a cricket academy and all them kind of things. This don't happen just so. It means money has to pass. And you all have foreign accounts. All these deeds, you and Stuart Young, all you went and sign off on the energy sector in all them top countries on them. And you have money deposited in foreign accounts. These are the allegations that is taking place in this country. And one cannot deny it because you see now what is happening now. Excuse me. You've seen what's happening now with Coleman Butt and the ruling of the Privy Council that the PNM now have to call an emergency cabinet meeting today to determine whether, well, I don't know, speculation is if he would be able to contest the election with this hanging over his head. But it's not Coleman Butt alone in this. It is Keith Rowley, Stuart Young, Rohan Sinana, the entire PNM cabinet, or government, as a matter of fact, is responsible for all that is taking place. And there must be a thorough investigation. Clear the jail. We're going to bring a whole government and some of the business associates, including the financiers and whatnot, and all those who get in big contracts and whatnot and things. The time has reached now that is the only solution and the only direction we have to go in. Lock up their backside. Have a nice day, fellas.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Director, you have any more calls there? I want to see if the calls are flowing, we let them come in. Of course, we'll tell you, we'll ask you, and of course, we want some flexibility that we can, of course, lay our editorials and lay out the narrative that we want to. We have any calls there, Director?
No.
All right, thank you so much. So they're talking about the candidacy for Imbert. I don't know how that is news, but they're saying Imbert's candidacy in Diego Martin Northeast in jeopardy. This is in one of the dailies. Finance Minister Imbert's candidacy in Diego Martin Northeast for the upcoming general election could be in jeopardy, according to people in the know. So I guess they have gotten some sources inside there to tell them. With the Privy Council ruling against the Minister of Finance and in favor of Auditor General Jayanti Ramdas in her case for judicial review, political sources acknowledged that the judgment was a severe slap for the government and had damaged the office of the Minister of Finance. Okay. The appeal by the Minister of Finance and the Cabinet was dismissed with cost. The cost imposed on the state in that matter involving Ramdas would run into millions. The Privy Council read the submissions of both sides and reached a judgment without the need to hear the respondent. Example, Ramdas, which sources said was embarrassing for the state. Having heard submissions from Mr. Douglas Mendez, Senior Counsel, on behalf of the appellant, example, Minister of Finance and the Cabinet, in this appeal, the board concluded that it was unnecessary to hear submissions on behalf of the respondent, the Privy Council stated in its ruling. So she was therefore allowed to judicially review Imber's decision to establish a probe into the understatement of $2.6 billion in the national accounts. The Privy Council had asked why the terms of reference did not include an investigation of the minister's behavior. So I guess they say, listen, you run your course, you're no longer an asset. Yes, you and I sit down, we plot against Manning. You as my boy, you back me up, right? You say you wanted Ministry of Finance because you want to know everybody who have an idea to get money from the Treasury. Your job and your role you took up was to macro everybody around you, their friends, their family, and their finances, because you would know where the money going. You sat there. Now you're gone from such an asset, it seems to a liability. You dropped the ball. Allegations of money missing, impropriety, and the list goes on and on. They say you're tainting it. You understand? The new prime minister, the man who come in, will say, listen, I don't want to be burdened with this fella. First of all, I took over his position as chairman of the party, and I really don't want him hanging on to me. His political wagon cannot be hitched to mine. I have plans. I tell people, stand by. What are we looking at here, boy, Lennox? I mean, this whole thing has crumbled, and of course, you have the footage, you have the video footage of Roger Monroe up there in Grandia. The people just like watching. Rejected. Starboy, the new Starboy had to come in and try to save him and say, we are walking around today because the woman asked you that. What is your plan while you're walking around? You invite all these people and you have no plan for the people, no plan for the young people, no plan for employment. We know that Grandy has so much rich aggregate resources up there, so much, and it doesn't benefit the people of Sandy Grandy. And you come out there walking, playing this. I don't understand that. You walk off. You walk off. When you out there walking, you there to collect votes. You are there to create a voter that is going to benefit you, the party, and by extension, put you into government or keep you there. You don't go out there and turn your back on potential voters. This man went out there and did the opposite yesterday, the total opposite.
Well, it's a typical case of who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad. So these people have gone totally berserk. But don't factor out, because there was a talk that Innsbruck wasn't going back up. So it could be another ploy to, of course, capture the narrative, because they have lost all the initiative. The UNC has been able, of course, to capture all attention of the national community for one reason or another, and probably by that self-inflicting blow by, of course, suggesting that somehow this fella's seat, talking about Imber's seat, is in jeopardy, and so of course it would generate a kind of narrative, because of course Rowley has gone, Hines has gone, and of course I will not be surprised if, of course, Imbert has gone, but they will use that to say, well, listen, they are sanitizing themselves, you see, and we have to be very careful there, that we don't play into their hands in terms of the narrative that they would want the benefit of that initiative to take. You know?
Yeah, so, they clean up. Director, if we have a quick correction.
Go ahead, caller.
And give them the numbers too, please. As you will have the numbers, give the folks the numbers, those that are locked on. Good morning indeed.
Yes, indeed. Of course, if we don't have a call as yet, well, of course, 225-6644, 225-6644, and the other number, of course, 239-5120, 239-5120, and drop us a line, drop us a voicemail, and we will certainly play it during the course of the program. 366-3053, 366-3053, WhatsApp only, however. All right.
Yes, of course. So we're going to take your voice notes at that number, folks, and you have the numbers to call. Wherever you are this morning, good morning to you. And you see what's happening. What a big shift. The Minister of Education said that with more education, people will less likely commit crime. You didn't know that when you took away the laptops? You didn't know that when your boss man say, like, you know, the children go use it to access the wrong thing. This man came into office and started preaching like we were supposed to draw figures on the side of the cave wall or something. He had no. We have someone there?
You have a caller? All right.
No, we don't have any caller.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly, you look what you did to Gate. Look what you did to all of these educational policies where you had people who would get
reduced to 100.
Yes.
Reduced to 100, yeah.
You had people getting bachelor's degrees in welding. You had the helicopter training. You had all of these things under the partnership. And now today you are saying after you've taken away all of that, deprive all of these children in the heights of a pandemic, 2,000 plus fell through the cracks. Because why? How many of them had devices? How many of the children that fell through the cracks, Rowdy? Could Rowdy sell it? Right? And whatever Rowdy has said, please, we demand an answer from Stuart Young. If he's coming in, plus he was there when all of that was said. In and out of the cabinet. So don't let me play games. He was there. You cannot disassociate him from all the wrong and incompetent and everything that has taken place with this administration. You cannot take him away from that. He cannot be sold separately. Don't ever try to sell him separately. When he was doing all of these things with these children and the education system, you didn't think that you were depriving them to the fact that you was giving them an alternative, unfortunately, which is crime. You didn't think about that? The more you have a chance to be educated, the less likely you'll be involved in crime. You now figuring that out? As the curtains are about to come down on your whole political show? Come on, man.
And what are the factual realities? They have, by their policies and programs in education, have promoted mediocrity. They have institutionalized underperformance. But yet still you have the audacity, the temerity to take what I consider to be a futile high ground and say more. Everybody knows that. But your policies and programs have not demonstrated that, and it has produced an institutionalized attitude and conduct to education that has, of course, reversed the gains that would have been made under Kamala Persad-Bissessar. In other words, what you met, you reversed it. So how the hell you could now come and say that? Is it about talk? Is it about hypocrisy? Is it about, of course, self-righteous indignation? How you know that now? And all your conduct is the opposite. How you know that now?
That's right. And listen, that little peek into what took place with Monroe and Grandy, I am quite certain is taking place with many of their candidates across Trinidad and I am quite certain about that. Yeah. Trust me. And they're hiding it. And we are getting reports
that I understand Marcel was with them. Poor Marcel.
They're bringing everybody. They're bringing our star team. This man was embarrassed in front of the star team. Yes. None of them could have blocked his incompetence. None of them. The man bringing a star team.
But you raise a point about fear, trepidation to go into their own constituency potential as the nominee. And I mentioned Marcel for the specific purpose that he's from the Bitam. I don't know how he walk in in Quarry, in Eastern Quarry, and of course in the other parts of that constituency that has a vibrant, dynamic, and existential borderline issue. I don't know. And he's a young man as well, of course. And you know, in these communities, they say to reach 25 is to reach old age. So you're quite right. But that is a very practical position that you have identified, and I thought I should elaborate a bit because I know that a lot of fear will be in this because he cannot even take a team from the Bitam, his community, and say he going and walking into those communities. Watch and see. Watch and see. It is a horrendous situation.
Lennox, you have a call.
Not good at all. But go ahead. We have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Mickie K. Morning, my brother.
Morning.
Watching you live, looking good and strong like Samson, boy. Lennox, I want to tell all you something. Our history, this is Malcolm X, our history to prove a point. The first set of government people for mismanagement to get locked up is in both as the Minister of Finance for mismanaging poor people money. That way they had them suffering in the hospital, suffering in jail, suffering all over this country for house, for food, for medicine. I want Inbo to be the first man to make a jail in Trinidad. How we never go on holidays, he must go. And here we go on Trinidad and Tobago. I have a personal donation to give Mr. Inboot when he going in the royal jail is a G-string tongue. I want to see him because it has some brothers they waiting for the color leopard man boy. All you wait and see. Them have to make jail, you know. Jump, you know. Them fellas have to answer for this stupidness, you know. Okay.
Yes, my
Somebody
friend, that
had
makes
to
a lot
answer.
of sense. Mike, I don't know if you were listening, but the callers, I mean, they are extremely aware,
No,
conscious.
because people are ready. They're ready. People.
Yeah, they're aware. Yeah.
When I wasn't on, I was trying to get things organized. People call Mikey, when is the date? I say, I ain't telling all of the date yet. Just get yourself organized. Make sure you have your mental strength. This is not for the weak at heart. We have to get back, or we have some letters to drop off. But these letters are pink slips. These are the pink slips, the political pink slips. The man who coming in here to get first. Young, please get out. You get out. We come in to drop it off. We come in, and when you see, when you see the crowd, when you see the masses who are saying, "Listen, this thing had to happen now," you know, it had to happen now. They had to go now. We can't just sit by and allow you to go into pre-retirement and have some OJT come in and run things. No, we had enough. We had enough. But here, what's interesting, I said, tell you how things change, boy. Imagine there's a story. There's a story in the papers that says unethical teachers, parents forced to pay for private lessons. Let me just read it. Teachers who deliberately hold back on teaching the curriculum during school hours in order to force parents to pay for private lessons are unethical. This was the position taken at yesterday's Joint Select Committee on Social Services and Public Administration. At the hearing, the JSC chairman Paul Richards asked about the ethics of teachers taking the position that students must attend extra lessons to complete the curriculum. And the president of the National Parent Teacher Association, Walter Stewart, said, "It seems to me, and I want to use the word mafia guardedly, with regards to the extra classes that parents have to succumb to in order to assist their children with extra lessons or private lessons, because in our humble view, there's no reason why the educator, the teacher, cannot adequately deliver the curriculum for the specified time allotted in a school day and have to resort to extra lessons or extra classes." The reason why I read that and the reason why it stood out to me is because that allegedly what is taking place used to go on in Guyana. It's no longer happening in Guyana. That is how teachers in Guyana was getting the real kakada. The report stated that they deliberately did that in order to force parents to pay for extra lessons. That was a big thing in Guyana. It is now happening here because people looking for it. Unethical or not, it is not an issue of moral turpitude for these teachers. It's about, hey, what about the pay hike? What about the money? What about what you're owing? They're looking for it. And you would find that things would start to take place that what you were getting for free and wasn't happening is happening across the board now. Yeah, teachers looking for it too. This used to happen all the time in Guyana.
But I want to tell you that in the context of Trinidad, they have I read the article as well. They have a very valid reason. Even though, of course, it is to augment their salary because obviously 4% is nothing. But we have a situation where the government is not recruiting teachers as required, and therefore schools have shortage of teachers, and therefore during the ordinary day of which they mention, they are unable to deliver the curriculum. So in that context, they have to have extra lessons for those students who would remain idle because the government has failed, of course, to recruit the necessary complement of deliverers or teachers in order to treat with that. So that's a valid argument. You can't get away from that. Then, of course, you have teachers that may be on leave, that has to be supplanted or replaced, and putting, of course, excess pressure on the principals of these various schools who may have to take up a class here and there, and so only for not to deliver, but of course for disciplinary reasons, etc., etc. So the government has provided the facilitation to cause people, of course, to augment their salary in that way. And in my view, I cannot see it as totally, of course, the fault or the opportunity. Go ahead, call.
Go right ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, caller.
Gentlemen, Lennox, Mikey, Tunapuno here again. Lennox, that is
Morning, welcome.
very interesting point that you raised there. Because in right some of the teachers, and that's all talk. Any teacher teaching in a school would want to make sure that the students perform well.
All right.
Because it's a credit to the teachers and to the school of the school.
We're not hearing clearly. I don't know if you're hearing clearly, Lennox.
No, I am not hearing anything.
Earlier,
I think that might have been Tanapuna. I didn't hear him at all. I had to put on my my monitor.
Well, you may have to call a different number or something there, Tunapuna, because not hearing you clearly at all.
So we cannot respond. I think he may be being heard in studio.
It's coming across clear on the side.
Okay. Yeah, but we not we're not here.
Go ahead, caller.
You hear me now, guys?
Morning. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello.
Go ahead, caller. You go ahead, caller.
Okay, Lennox, Mikey. Lennox, you were raising a very important point there. Because any teacher, all teachers rather, would want to make sure, that they carry out the curriculum, because any credit or that children, the qualification and whatnot, it goes to the teachers and to the school by extension. So when they want to make it look like the teachers giving extra lessons and they charging people and they can't do they don't want to complete the curriculum and whatnot. Let me ask you something, and as you rightfully said, Lennox. One, it could be a demoralizing thing with the salaries. Two, you have many disruptions in school. School is not ready. They're not prepared. They're unfit for occupancy. All these are things that factors. You have the violence in schools and whatnot. All these things attributed to the failure of the government to address this situation. Do we now have a situation here where we got...
All right, Director, honestly, we I don't know, Lennox, I'm not hearing... Take up the... Yeah, go ahead.
I am getting the tail end of what he is saying because I have put on my monitoring. I have another monitor that I monitor.
Okay, you can. All right, we'll go ahead. Let me know. Go ahead. All right. Okay, go ahead.
So I'll be able to make some kind of response or contribution or assist you there. All right.
We already got them.
Okay. What he was saying essentially is that there is validity for the action of the teachers, and they mustn't be blamed because they have a duty to deliver the curriculum. And if it is that there's a shortage of staff and there is therefore a shortage of delivery to the students, teacher learning and environment. And then, of course, the government has created the conditions where, of course, this has materialized, but they can't take the extra time and do it for free. And of course, well, and you're quite right. I suppose the other part of it is that they are not getting the kind of remuneration that.
Well, that's the thing. They're looking for
they exploit the situation. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
They're looking for it, and if they see an opportunity, fine.
That's right.
Because listen, I'm underpaid. I'm underpaid, and I'm overworked.
That's right.
And if it is that I have to take my extra time in the evening that I need to spend with my family, listen, man, you have to pay for it.
That's right.
You have to pay for it because it was happening in other places. That's what it is. Yeah. You have the teachers hustling. If anybody had a money hustle, is this administration who now saying that it's very important when it comes to education, but you didn't make education a priority. The results alone from the C exams, from the time they came in, go back, look at it. Early childcare centers, look what's taking place. Where our schools rank now. How many students really fell through the cracks? What went on in the heights of the pandemic? I mean, come on. So it's a game that's playing out, and they realize now in the last act, all that they did or did not do, as the case may be, all their inactions, we have been paying a price for that. Don't highlight to us what we already know. What you highlighting to us now is what we've been living. It ain't good. We know it ain't good.
And a very important aspect of it is the denominational schools and the concordat. Right now, that matter is in court. What the government has done is tell all because I am on the board of the St. Barbara's Baptist School, so I can tell you. And what the government has done is try to make, of course, all schools secular. And therefore, the edict or the moral and ethical teachings of schools that are of a religious nature, a church-based. They're trying to take that out, but of course they are the best performing schools in the country. Morally, ethically, they don't have fights, they don't have violence, etc. But this government has, of course, instructed the ministry to stop the participation of school boards of selecting. And they will, if you're a Catholic and it's a Catholic school, certainly you'd want a Catholic person teaching there, just as us, as a Baptist, we want Baptist people. They stop us from, of course, making that selection, and they want to send any and anybody to these schools because they have a pool of teachers that they have recruited to be distributed. And that has created, of course, a situation as well for a shortage of teachers. It's a very horrendous situation, and you're talking about education is the best thing for yes. If it's from Kamala Prasad Bisesa, that it is a liberation.
Go ahead, director. Come in, caller. Morning.
Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen. Calling from the bar here.
Yes, go ahead,
gentlemen. A situation occurred recently, and it just goes to show the level of hypocrisy, arrogance, and spitefulness this government possesses. And this is across the country. If you're not aligned to the political party that's in government, you've been treated with the type of disrespect. You can't go to the police station, you're treated a certain way. You go to the healthcare system, you're treated a certain way. With disrespect and disregard for who you are as a human being. And this situation is simply the situation that occurred with the Cal flight. With immediate effect, they suspend the pilots and the maintenance people aligned to that situation. Now, they dismiss them and they have it under investigation. And this just goes to show the hypocrisy of this government and how they're wicked and evil. When the 4 divers end up in the pipeline, Colin Piper, Mushtaq Mohammed, and Stuart Young was having meetings. These are the men who instructed the Coast Guard and the people who was trying to assist and help these fellas while they was alive inside that pipe to do go in, remain there and dead. That was the situation that took place there. Then they come now and spend millions of dollars for total stranger who have nothing, who haven't lost nothing in that with these 4 gentlemen that died in that pipeline. Paid millions and millions of dollars. And up to now, the families who lose their breadwinner suffering and begging for assistance from anywhere they could get it to survive and live. And this is just one example of if this is the type of governance these people want. You could go back to the cell phone issue with Imbert's son, how they have the resources to only help the people who are aligned to their thing. Your family will get kidnapped. They would die. Look, recently we heard the businessman, they find his body somewhere up in Davie in Long Circular there. When a 1% they get kidnapped in South, before the hour or two, they don't arrest police officer, they arrest this one and that one and all these kind of things. They recover the person. How much more example that this country and the citizens want to understand that this is a government that is not for we, is not for the country, it's just for the beneficiaries of the country. And you know the irony of the whole scenario? The supporters that have them in power, who have them enriching their 1% financiers and whosoever eating their food from them. You know, they are the ones that suffer the most. They are the ones who have to go and visit their family in jail because they have nothing to put on the table besides turn to crime. They are the ones who have to go down Forensic Sciences Center and line up to get autopsy from the family who get murdered and killed. And they still can't come to terms to understand that these people is misleading them. They're wicked and bad, and they're not for all here. They're not for the country. What more does we have to explain and more example that you need? Look, last night it had a helicopter crash in America, Washington there. You know, they already have press conference with everybody involved. They had to answer questions. It had divers, the water freezing. It had divers down there trying to recover body. Well, now they say it's not a rescue anymore, it's recovery. And all the resources and all these kind of things put in to get back these people, they'll get a few alive, the rest of them they don't turn them DU. You know? So this just got to show how people, and then you see the sycophant who belongs to the PNM, who when anything happening in this country, the first thing that is call and say, well, then all over the world are crime, and all over the road bad, all over the world posse. Well, look, what happening across the road there now? What happened here? So only the bad things that happen in the Trinidad is happening all over the world. The good things that happen, the example that we supposed to look at and try to better ourselves in this country, all over the world to apply for that. Like to tell you how brainwash and stupid it is. So if all want to continue going down that road and supporting this evil, wicked set of people, all go ahead. And they talk just now about the land down in Caranage and thing down there. Well, obviously, again, it's for the rich to get richer, for the poor to go and sell in the fast food outlet and all these kind of things, to cut ticket by the gate and say, all right, come, a long line and you stand up for 12 hours to cut ticket to let people go in for them to make the millions. Die where they're going to be selling for all here. To say, hey, you see, we have to let this 1% come and open up and buy out all these land down here. Open up the big business them. We going to make millions and then all they go work for minimum wage so they could survive and pay all the rent and buy all the little KFC and things. That is, and these people can't see that. What more all you want? Gentlemen, have a good morning. Take care.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. Yes, indeed. Of course. And as we said, I mean, every single thing that these people touch, the Rowley PNM administration has turned, of course, to the biblical pillar of salt. And of course, it appears that, of course, we are in reverse as a society, and an election is upon us. And as I said, I am extremely gratified and elated that the level of consciousness, and it is not often that one has an opportunity, of course, to take credit for something that they contributed to. But I want to say thank God for the ground report. Thank God for the various initiatives, whether it be pushback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whether it be, of course, some, of course, and all of the information that people would bombard us with. I say bombard, not in a negative sense, but in a very positive sense, in order, of course, to share it with the national community. And now the fruits of that labor is saying that on the ground, the PNM is toxic, the PNM is poison, the PNM is the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago and must be jettisoned out of office. And that, to me, I mean, is music to my ears, and those of us who have been in this struggle over these, well, at least this decade. This decade, since 2015.
Our voice notes to play.
You have a voice note?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. After the voice note, we'll talk. Go ahead. Thanks.
Yes.
I want to go to family, the team, and they get well soon. All right, and just rest yourself. Guys, don't forget,
check the
when
speed
the
on that voice.
opposition raised a motion in the parliament about crime, let us discuss the crime. The Speaker of the British and Mr. George shut them down and said that wasn't important. Look where we are today. Look where we are today. She said that, that wasn't important. You feel these people easy, right? They might go, but they might go. They might win this mess.
Good morning again, Lennox, Mickie, Andy, and to everybody out there, and the technical director, and to everybody out there. Mother Bernie, well said. Well said. Yeah, I agree with you what you said about Watson Duke. He was at PNM Christmas party because he put up big picture of he and his wife at the Christmas party. Right? He was like the dog in the manger. He could have stayed in Tobago and helped build Tobago, but he was like the dog in the manger. He ran down to Trinidad to get rid of Kamala, come and mash up the UNC flag on the beatum, right? To get rid of Kamala. Because I don't know what Kamala was doing here. Rowley in office, but you come to get rid of Kamala. Okay? Right, well, take that now, Watson Duke. And what something you must compliment people when they need complimenting. And something Farley said that resonated with me. Everybody after him for not giving them the money. He was making reference to the spill, the oil spill, the cleanup. Everybody after him for the money, but nobody's after the PNM, central government, who is not giving them the money. And he told them outright, go and target them. Start picketing them, right, to get all your money because they are not giving us anything. And it was so distasteful what Duke was saying about who getting fat and who getting car. Duke, what did you do? We saw what you did as when you were in the public service. We saw what you did. You take $80,000 to put up a building, to rent a building in Trinidad to get rid of Kamala. Boy, you were the product of your own demise. Thanks a lot, guys. Fed up of hearing this narrative that Kamala should give the UNC breathing space. Kamala should go. Kamala should get stepped on. Kamala can't walk. Kamala can't do this. Kamala can't do that. But when you all listen, not take any time to listen to this lady on the town hall meetings and the Monday night meetings, no, is that a lady who only keep comparing, telling us about Biden? Who the hell cares? That is a lady who is very lucid. She's very clear in what she's saying. Theodore Roosevelt sat in a wheelchair as president of the United States, and he did his job. So what is all your problem with Kamala? Oh, she can't walk. What is wrong with her? I haven't seen her walking. But the thing about it, you all are not condemning Rowley. for what it is he has done to this country. And what Stuart Young, together with Rowley, has done to this country. But everything is about Kamala. Check all yourself now. Check all yourself now and see how well you all are doing before they condemn the lady. She has a lot more to offer this country, and I say we're giving her a chance to do it. Thanks a lot, guys. Good morning again, guys. Good morning to Mickie, Lennox, Andy, the technicians, and to everybody out there. You know, we're saying now we're in but lost the case again. But Douglas Mendez had no shame as a senior counsel to know that they were going to lose that case. But it is money they're running after. And as you rightly said, Mickie, look at how much money now has to be paid out. That is not coming from Imbut's pocket. That is going to come from the coffers of the Treasury. It's going to come from our pockets, taxpayers' pockets. October last year, we saw Junior Sammy winning this case against the state, 83 million. You know, Port of Spain has a chant that every time Andy hear Junior Sammy name, he just shiver. I wonder who's shivering now. 83 million plus interest has to be paid back to Junior Sammy. Right? Who's shivering now? Imbut? Who's shivering? Rowley? All it is just run all your mouth, right? Look at how much money it costing the taxpayers of this country, because according to Dr. Monilal, they were on a witch hunt. They were on a witch hunt, and yet still people not seeing that. Thanks again, guys.
Oh, yes.
Good morning, Lennox.
Do you have any more voices,
Listen to
Erica?
the foolishness and misinformation coming out of this talk show hoax mouth.
Okay. So I have in front of me the list of countries that Donald Trump is looking to send back people to. Trinidad and Tobago, 1,197 persons. Right? This is November 2024. Donald Trump wasn't in office in November 2024. Was he?
First of all, I want this fool to know that I won the United States presidential elections in November 2024. And I only became the 47th president and took up office this month. So do a better job. Spreading your lies and misinformation about me, fool. My prayers are with you, Andy. Get well, my friend. Remember to tell everyone that yellow is the code. And let's be safe out there today, people.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you.
Good morning to the
Donald.
going for family, the team, Andy, get well soon. All right, and just rest yourself. Guys, don't forget that when the opposition raise a motion in the parliament about crime, let us discuss the crime. The Speaker of the British and his judge shut them down and said that wasn't important. Look where we are today. Look where we are today. She said that, you know, that wasn't important. You feel these people easy, right? They might go, but they might go. They might win this mess.
Andy, Lennox, Mickie, Santa Cruz, tell the PNM people there is a governor who runs a state that's about 100 times bigger than Texas, and he's on a wheelchair. He don't have to walk. He only wheelchair run. Governor Abbott, who runs a state bigger than about 100 times. Tell them idiot, them gotta have on the PNM. They're stupid. You think with your brain, not with your leg. I realize them to think with the backside. That's the PNM. They think they work on the brain to do things. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Yes. That's the director?
Go ahead now, Lennox. We'll take some calls.
All right. Thank you. Just so. Yeah, Lennox, of course, by now everybody would have seen this. 13 of them gathered there in Mova, and none of them realized the spelling of the sign. Instead of Avenue, it was Ananu. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Ananu. 13 of them gathered.
Yeah.
Take a big picture. Who takes selfies, send it to Instagram, send it there with all the friends. Look what we do. Look what we do in Mova Laventil. And not one of them. And you're right, the Minister of Education is correct. Yeah, a good education will definitely be a deterrent against crime. But boy,
yeah, well, I want them to know that there are a lot of people who, even whom they may not, or who they would have discarded, observe that Avenue was spelled wrong.
yeah,
Morning.
yeah. But Miss Santa Cruz touched on something before we go back to the lines there. Miss Santa Cruz touched on something, and I want people to understand this. Listen, let the PNM do their work now. Stop helping the PNM do their work now. UNC people, I talking to you this morning. Stop helping the PNM do their work. Because that lady that stood up to Roger Monroe and Sandy Grande, she didn't care. She wanted answers. You understand? You won't say she PNM, but she had enough. She had enough. And all of you right-thinking citizens and all of you true patriots, you know better. Sometimes when you go in some of these chats, it's nothing inspiring at all. It's only doom and gloom. Like Rowdy telling all of the police things there. What? UNC people, stop doing PNM work. You know what you have to do. You know what you have to rally behind. You have to understand that yellow is the code, regardless of what. Yellow is the code. That's right. I'm telling you, full stop. Full stop. There's no alternative. That's it. Stop doing the PNM work. I tell you, Lennox, you would hear them and the chattering and the thing and the that, and nothing productive, nothing good. If you want to have that kind, if you want to have that kind of narrative, you carve out your little niche and go in a little corner and you play the I hate Kamala game and you play the I hate UNC game. You go ahead now, man, if that's what you're all about. But at the end of the day, once you're a part of something, and any right-thinking person, nobody needs to be motivated to get the PNM out. All you have to do is look at the way you're living. Nobody should need motivation to get the PNM out. Come on, stop doing the work.
But
stop
I want them
for King's Nyama. Go ahead.
I want them to observe. Let me repeat. I want them to observe that video that went viral of the person rejecting Stuart Young and the candidate, that was filmed by a PNM person. It could only be because you don't expect Stuart Young to be walking around with UNC members. So it's PNM people who, of course, are fed up and, of course, see that as an opportunity to let all of you know that yellow is the code and that PNM gone to the dogs. That is what has happened here. Nobody else could have sent that. Nobody could have filmed that because it was a PNM team that was visiting, that was walking, that was looking at neighbor. The neighbor and all, of course, was shocked because so I don't expect the neighbor to come out with a camera or have someone there. So it is part of that team. So therefore, the PNM itself now has, of course, a bunch of Trojan horses that, of course, are working towards, of course, their demise because they deserve it. Understand that, those of you who are sympathetic and understand where we are going. I said 39 seats. That is what I'm looking for in Trinidad. 39. It's not waste time. Yes, indeed. We have another call. We have a few more. Yes, we have some time yet. We have over 20 minutes to go. Don't forget the numbers to call: 225-6644, 225-6644, 2.
Yeah, man.
2095120. Just a minute. And then, of course, the WhatsApp voicemail 366-3053. 366-3053. Go ahead, Mikey.
Yes, voice note, right? So your voice notes. Go ahead, there, director. Go ahead.
Good morning, Assistant Professor Mickie and Lennox and Professor Emeritus Andy. Get well. A couple of issues I want to talk about. I'm hearing through the grapevine, I don't know if it's true. Election is coming up. The man has $50 million to spend. He wants to bring back a former governor of New York, David Patterson. At that point in time when he came to Trinidad, he had challenged with his eyesight. I hear he had surgery and he's coming out with spectacles to talk on the PNM platform. So you will see exactly what is happening. Remember what he said? Everything he said then has happened now. So let us hear what you had to say. More importantly, we have a situation. Anybody know who is the Minister of Labor? We have a red flag that is big in front of us based on the crash of the two aircrafts in America. We have a Labor Minister, I can't remember his name, the former minister, and we have decimated health and safety within the industrial organization in Trinidad. And Biwi is a prime example, and I'm hoping that we do it now. We look at the laws. OSHA, for example, is a non-functional organization. Every 2 years, OSHA is supposed to go back to all those industrial sites and see if they are compliant with respect to the OSHA laws and see if they're obeying it. We have too much industrial debts. We have Paria, we have Heritage, we have Nikon. The Lord save us, because he might be a Trinidadian with respect to Caribbean Airlines. And that is a serious thing. And we have to treat the employees so they are not stressed out. A pilot is a very important. He's going up there, and he must be street from fresh. He must be enjoying his job. He must be happy. This current government is stressing out the national public with all them organizations, so people are going to work, and mine is not focused on the system that is instilled into the organization, the quality system. Quality is not a trivial thing. People have to understand that a life is the most important thing to any organization. Some people treat it trivially, and the current government is doing that. He taking 50% and he gave them 4%. He say, mind your business and drink water. He's doing that to the police service. He's doing that to everything. They want to stick it to the pilots, and everybody else are going to have a nice morning. I'm passionate about this, and I'm annoyed. I'm gone.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Yes, Lennox. So
Yes,
again,
indeed. Yes, so I was saying that of course, it is clear that those people are lining up within, pretending to be PNM, pretending to be with Stuart Young and they, but of course, like Trojan horses, they are actively, of course, undermining the PNM, because no way Stuart Young would have accommodated, of course, UNC people to be with him, or persons opposed to the PNM. So there must have been perceivably elements with him, and they have, of course, filmed that, package it, and sent it viral. Well, sent it, and it became viral when, of course, everybody had a look as to the shameful scenario that they found themselves in Sangre Grande.
Oh, what the hell is this?
I'm not seeing you, Mikey.
Go ahead, caller.
We have a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
this,
why is Mikey adjusting
yeah,
it's
the camera.
Together.
No.
Go ahead, caller.
Right. Now, as the
Yes.
last caller made
Caller, go ahead.
Right. As the last caller mentioned, a pilot is someone whose mind supposed to be at ease, who's supposed to be, have a mind of tranquility and whatnot and things. But you putting these people under stress in terms of they're not guaranteed of their job status, they're not getting with the remuneration and what have you, the pay and what have you. And that is important, that is critical. Just as well as you have with we got with the teachers, the lecturers and what have you. And you're not seeing about the well-being, and if you only want to place emphasis on education and whatnot. And that is the hallmark where education is paramount at the university. And you're not taking this thing serious? Now, Lennox and Mikey, I want to ask all you, that incident with Monroe, that's one. Two, the other one with Stuart Young, and I would like you all to play that, to show it or highlight it on the television for us, please. Let people see what is happening. In addition to that, yesterday I was watching where they launched that thing at MOVA with the signboard and whatnot, and as you correctly said, the spelling is wrong and whatnot. And there was a lady who stood up and she said, hey, we have more serious and pressing matters to be addressed in our constituency. And this is what all you're coming to tell people about? That can't do nothing for we. So if it is that these three issues, the Sangre Grande issue, the Stuart Young matter, and this thing, if you could show it up on the screen and give give you a little pronouncement on it so that people could really see what is happening in this country and what is priority for the PNM government. Thank you very much, brothers.
All right, thank you there. Yeah, just had a little glitch there, Lennox. Go ahead. You have a caller?
It appears that there's something with Tonopuna. You and I, Mikey, seem not to get him. But of course, I'm hearing him on coming through the YouTube.
Okay, he's still on. He's still on.
Let me just check.
Director, is he still there, or is there a new caller?
Go on, finish.
All right, so we have no calls, no voice notes?
No calls, no voice notes.
All right, give them the numbers once again, and I'll go right ahead.
Yes, indeed. Of course, the numbers to get us at right now, 225-6644, 225-6644. And then, of course, the other one you can use, 239-5120, 239-5120. And then, of course, to leave us a note, only WhatsApp, 366-3053. 366-3053. That's the WhatsApp number where you can leave a voicemail. And of course, we will try to play it for you before the end of the program. We try to, of course, be as contemporary as possible, to be in real time as possible, in other words. So there we have it, of course. Mikey, so very interesting times, as I was saying earlier, that people are now reflecting what we knew a very long time. It took some time for them to, of course, maybe assimilate and then, of course, test, and give chances, give opportunities to the PNM and Rowley. But on every turn, they have disappointed, they have collapsed, they have, of course, been so incompetent and so impotent that, of course, people are universally now saying. And, of course, that incident in Sangre Grande certainly not just put the icing on the cake, but, of course, reflects stereotypically of what we expect across the country, including Tobago, that the rejection of the PNM whole scale, which of course will be the beginning of the demise or relegation to the dustbin of political history, because we will be here when Kamala and they win, because we know they will try to resurface. We know they will try to, of course, tell us the narrative that they have cleaned out these tables. And therefore, they have found a new lease in life, and they have produced a catharsis, all the kind of nice hyperboles. But we know, and we will be waiting patiently, and we will not, of course, relent. The UNC must get Kamala at 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, simply because they would have, of course, delivered to the people.
Yeah, but the thing about it, too, as I said, they're now realizing in the 11th hour the fact of the effects of their incompetence and the fact that they were simply square pegs in round holes. Now you have the Minister of Social Development, Donna Cox. She says over 1,800 emotional distress calls were received by the National Crisis Hotline between October 2024 and January 2025, reflecting the rising mental health concerns across the nation. She said since the launch of the hotline on November 2nd, 2022, over 7,000 calls have been received. And sharing the range of issues raised in these calls, Cox said they included suicide thoughts, mental health challenges, gender-based violence, families in crisis, and substance abuse. Well, I tell you,
what engendered that? You have to ask the question, what engendered that disclosure? Well, a school child went to the top of a building, threatened to throw herself off. And therefore, of course, that revelation came. And it's very significant. Between, November last year or October, thereabout, and January, we are still in January. Well, tomorrow being the last day. So we're still in January. 1,800. So it means, therefore, there is an exponential increase in people contemplating to harm themselves on their own volition, quite apart from the, of course, in spite of the SOE, we have, of course, a running comparison in terms of days as opposed to murders. But yet still, you have a situation where they're telling us that is the panacea and that they're doing well.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And to add insult to injury, she said that the extensive support is available. She said, of course, the suicide prevention hotline also serves as an additional referral pathway. But she went on to say that she emphasized the importance. She emphasized the importance of making these services available to as many people as possible, especially in times of crisis. We've been in crisis since 2015. You have a caller? Go ahead. Morning.
Since the 8th of September.
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah, you hear the figures?
Right,
You hear the figures?
1,800, you know.
We have someone?
Hello.
Yes,
Good morning, welcome.
Hi, you hearing me?
Yes,
loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning again, everybody. You know, this morning is a very exciting morning. Lennox, let me remind all you, you know, Friday was World Education Development Day. And I told you already, we've seen for ourselves, PNM didn't take it in. Because, you know, you're reading this chat this morning, and you're wondering why it is that people like to lie so. Lie, half-truth, innuendo, and propaganda. Coming to tell us, right, that the laptop program was no good, right, because they hear Rowley say that. So right away, instead of thinking for themselves, the laptop program was not good. And the teachers could not use the laptop. Lennox, you tell me which teacher you know can't use a laptop. Tell me. Or Mickie. I can't use a laptop. I am ashamed to tell nobody that. I am not a teacher. But you tell me which educator don't know how to use a laptop. Another thing is, it didn't serve no purpose, right? And then you have the snail slime coming to jump in. Why they give the children laptops? I wonder if his children have laptops. The all the 1% of them, right? The richness of them giving the children laptops. Why mustn't the poor children be given laptops as well? And all what they learn. But you see, it's the narrator from Rowley showing that they have no brain. They just repeated all what Rowley's saying. I want to know, okay, or they shut down the laptop program. Why, when we went into COVID, they were begging people for laptops? Why? What was the purpose then? How many children fall through the education system? And I want to tell Miss Patty, Miss Patricia, it was a Kamala giving every child a school place that caused the downfall in this education system. It's Eric Williams with the junior secondary school places, right? Some parents pull their children through it. They had no choice but to send their children there and pull their children through it. And today, look, this boy, Anand Ramlogan, went through the secondary school system, the junior secondary school system, and today he's one of the best lawyers in the country, right? It's if they want to learn. It's when if the children want to learn, they will find themselves to learn something. But PNM did nothing to uplift education in this country. Look at what we saw for the last 10 years, that they turn around now and want to hide the results of the common entrance and the CAPE and whatever. They're hiding it. So when all you don't know what all you're talking about, try and find a next shot. Because here what? We're going to put all you in all your place. We're going to educate all you. And if all you don't want to be educated, find somewhere else. But don't come here and lie. Because Kamala won awards for her education system, her seamless education, universal system. Hillary Clinton complimented her on it. How many compliments Rowley get for 10 years for anything at all in this country? Man, this country was voted the stinkest country in the world. So what nonsense all they're talking about when all they want to, let me tell all you something. And I am appealing to our people. Mickie and Lennox as well and Andy, right? Let us start showing them all the schools, all the NSC center, all the IT centers, everything that Kamala did. Let us start doing that and start putting up the map, the last local government election map as all behind all you. Let them see UNC ain't no failure. PNM is the failure. You hear? So when all they want to come and talk, know what they're talking about. Because we will put all in all your place. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a good one.
Oh, thank you. That's right. And that's just a group of people on the chat, a group of women who,
Yeah,
after
cool.
working, yeah, but they work so much long hours at the Balize brothel, and before they go home and lie down, after all of that work, all that performance, all that flipping and dipping and skipping with your clients and your Johns, you want to come on the live and just make a set of comment. You gotta forgive them. Some of them, I don't know how they could still talk with their mouth after all the things they've done. But here they are. But we have to deal with them, and we will deal with them accordingly. Who you have there, director? Who you have?
So they're using them out for eating
We have a call line.
or
Mikey
assisting
Lennox?
in speaking.
Not at all. Morning.
Yeah,
we
hello.
have a caller. Pleasant good morning.
Right, yeah, Lennox Mikey. I want to remind this country something. That when Kid Rowley scrapped the laptop, he stated that he acted on the advice of the technocrats at the University of the West Indies. So that this was a waste of time project, and that they should disband that. And which is, I mean, I raised this question sometime last year or thereabout. We want to find out who are the people from the university that informed Keith Rowley to scrap the laptop, because he stated that he acted based on advice coming out of the University of the West Indies, which was a total lie, because I doubt any lecturers, anybody from the university responsible for higher education will so inform him that, that is a waste of time and that they should discontinue that. So therefore, I want to let people know that Keith Rowley, you're a notorious liar. And up to this date, we have not had any response from that, because I raised that concern sometime last year or even later than that. Who are the lecturers? I even called on the University of the West Indies, the management there, to come out and make a statement whether that, what Rowley said, was a true statement. And up to now, nothing has come out of that. So, Kid Rowley, you can't tell this country that the technocrats from the University of the West Indies advise you that laptop issue was a waste of time and you should discontinue it. Have a nice day, fellas.
Well, we have seen him done the same thing in advancing argument to close down Petrotrin, when 3 reports, expensive reports in US dollars, said the total opposite. And then, of course, so it means therefore the entire cabinet must be held culpable, accountable for that. And that is one of the things in terms of misbehavior in public office, corruption, that, of course, any criminal police investigation must ensue. The entire cabinet must be held culpable, because today we cannot get $50 US, largely because of that decision made. And what we know, that it was done to save Rowley per se, because of his involvement with the fake oil matter. That is where we have reached.
But look where we really at. You have something there, director?
We not what you call it.
All right. The thing about it is, Donna Cox went on to say that community parenting workshops completed last quarter were held in Digo Martin and Arima, focusing on parenting children with disability. Donna, oh God, Donna.
A well-kept secret. only when the crisis comes.
Lennox,
Then
these mothers need resources, money, Donna, money. You see that thing with all the allegations of what is missing? You see that thing, Donna? It's called money. The country needs the money. All right? You see those devices and all of those things in order to make our students become globally competitive? That requires money, Donna. Donna, this is not a parenting workshop. When Kamala was there and you had parents with children with cerebral palsy, she made sure that they got the money. These mothers want to go out and work. They want to make sure that they can provide for their children, not asking for handouts. Or when you add up the amount of these workshops, Lennox, you could take that money and give it directly to the people after all these years. You talking about parenting workshop? Donna, Donna, I don't know. You're spending all this money to put spiders on your eye. I don't know how long this Rapunzel thing on your hair gonna be done. Donna, you have to come out of that makeup dolly zone and make sense, sweetheart. Donna, there's a reason why there's so many people contemplating suicide. They feel that there's no sense of purpose, no sense of being, no sense of belonging, nothing whatsoever. They question their own existence. Our government is supposed to give the people of the country hope. And that hope has to come about with making sure that the interests of the people are priority, not their friends, their family, themselves, their finances. No, Donna. That is what you and your cabinet members, associates have been doing. So that's why, Donna, you have to pay the price now. And don't come to us with all these statistics and talking about the crisis. You are part of the crisis. You and your entire government, along with Rowley Stewart, all of them, you are the ones that created this crisis. That's why teachers now have to be questioned about their ethics because they have to hustle. That is what's going on. That is why you could see a video with a fireman with the door swing open and you almost fall out because you didn't make that a priority. That's why people are perishing in fires because they don't have the resources, they don't have the fire tenders. Well, let's stop playing games, the man. And you people who looking on and reading this every day and in your chats and you're sharing it and so forth, you have to be conscious of the fact that in order for us to live better, we have to rid the country of these people. Stop doing the PNM walk. Stop with the criticizing, totally unconstructive criticism. And it's this one and it's that one. And who had to get here and who ain't go here. Listen, man. Listen, understand what's happening. We are the best team. We have all the great abilities to make it. We have the best people. We have the best minds. We have the people with the will who are willing to get in there and do what is best for the people of this country. And that's all that matters. That is why yellow have to be code. It has to be the code. It must be the code. Full stop. There's nothing else. This is it. After almost 9+ years, stop the complaining and stop the crying. Leave the crying for the babies. You listening to Donna Cox and the nonsense she talking, Lennox? These mothers is not about a parenting workshop. They need resources. Give them the money. Oh my God, give them the money. Stop giving your friends. Stop giving your finances. Give them the money.
Nothing different, my friend, because I mean that's a best kept secret. Nobody knows about it, and of course she will just belch out that because a crisis came up, just as just as the rationale for, of course, the current SOE. Of course, one expects that's what, incidentally, of course, that fire truck incident you talk about, the fireman actually fell out. Going around a corner, he actually fell out. Not almost, he fell out.
You can imagine that, but
on the pavement. But there's an issue that came up earlier that I want to address before we make our departure. We just have about two more minutes, and that is that why am I certain that the UNC will do a better job as far because the issue of the drag brothers, the issue of the city mall, the issue of those fellas in the people's mall came up, and of course generating, of course, an environment, a synergy, a situation where these people can, of course, make a living in Port of Spain as well. I want to tell you that the UNC clearly, why I have faith is because they have demonstrated that already. They gave to, of course, the people of East Port of Spain $1 option to get in their name their respective apartments. Rowley instead offer the eradication of all of them for some so-called redevelopment that focuses on, of course, what is called gentrification. They want 1% to get hold of that real estate. But the UNC instead say leave them there and give them ownership of it. $100. And it was the PNM, Eulalie James at that time.
Stick a pin in that, Lennox. We have to go, and tomorrow we'll continue along that vein. I want you to finish that tomorrow. Folks, we are out of here. Please try to stay alive. If I mash any toes, for those of you who work in the Balizé brothel, please don't take it personally. I'm not calling any names, but Patty, you know who you are. So, folks, please do your best. Stop walking, doing the PNM walk. Yellow is the code. And
don't
that's
forget
it. Tonight, Lennox Smith, Corridor Transformation at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss it. And of course, tomorrow it's dancing class. Get ready, folks. He is going into the carnival season, so it is sweating to the soca tomorrow you still at the same place?
Yes, the same place, Spargos.
Yeah, well, you only selling out Spargos inventory. Go and get your... Anyhow, we go talk about that. Until tomorrow, folks, we are out of here.
Yes, indeed.
The Ground Report with Mikey K, Andy Williams, and Lennox Smith.